Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Candrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the
Yerky
Yerky
Boys.
Boys. Book 34, The Prophecy today.
Released originally in September 1999.
Ooh.
Back to school.
That's fun. It's a back to school book. I didn't think of that.
Maybe you were getting this at your school book fair.
Well, when did these come out? Were they the beginning? Because if it was on the first, do you have time for school book fair yet, or is it too early?
Well, maybe you didn't pick it up. Maybe that's when you get your books. Maybe you don't go to the bookstore, and maybe beginning of the school year is when you catch up on all your Animorphs. You get a bundle of 3 or 4.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Kind of makes sense. Although you get bored during the summer, that's when you really need your Morphs bundles.
We don't need to get into the book orders, which you forgot about, but then were reminded that you definitely did.
Yes. We don't need to get into that.
That's an early callback. That happened early in the show.
Generally speaking, my brain does work. That's not a lie. It definitely does. Don't go back and fact check that one. Just take my word for it. So we don't need to relitigate that.
We have a big show today. I do think last week's show was bad. So I think this week we should try to make it better than last week's.
I think we can do that.
Yeah,
we're always improving every time, so it's easy for us to.
Yeah, if we hustle, we can maybe make it better. Well, but last week was whatever. Anyway, yeah, I guess we are always improving. I guess all the ones before last week were worse. We do have a sharing to share before we start the show.
Oh, a sharing.
Yeah.
It's
a part of our. Yeah, that's the segment name.
Yeah.
This is when we read emails from the listeners. And we have a new listener writing in today.
Holy shit.
I'm just going to read through it. It's not that long for one, so I'm just going to read through the whole thing and then we'll react to it.
Okay.
All right, email comes in. This is Error Fox Detected on Reddit, who is a woman, by the way.
Again, our first female listener.
I'm reading the whole email and then you can react.
Sorry. You're sorry.
Yes, you have a woman listener. I've been too busy to write in, but I've had many thoughts I wanted to share. I was just listening to episode 7 because I'm one of those people who listens to old episodes of a podcast. Plus, it doesn't feel right just jumping in the middle, and y'all mentioned that Megamorphs came out as 2-part books. All my life, I'd never seen or heard of this, but a few nights ago, I was in a thrift store looking for Animorphs books because I decided I want a complete physical collection, and I actually saw Megamorphs #1, Part 1. Unfortunately, I am only interested in the bigger combined editions, so I left it there. I suppose I could try to obtain it again after all, if either of you want it. End of email.
Holy shit.
So, first of all, I'm not certain, but I think I might have read Error Fox Detected's comments on one of our season recap episodes. So they may have already been featured. That name sounds familiar. And the fact that she said from Reddit makes me think must have been from one of the threads I made over there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recall that username, but yeah, perhaps.
There's probably another episode where we say that you're a fucking idiot because of your thoughts. No, everyone on the Reddit was pretty reasonable, if I recall. So I don't know. Now, this person's only on episode 7. They're listening to the first Megamorph. So this is kind of a time travel thing here.
Yeah. Well, she is correct to do it that way, although there is a very real possibility that she will not make it this far because she will realize how bad we are.
Well, maybe. I'm trying to think. Episode 7. Did I say the C word yet?
No, I don't think you did.
Yeah. might still be listening. But maybe I'll actually respond to this person for the first time and tell them we responded.
Sure.
So maybe she'll listen ahead. We both agree. Yes, you're supposed to listen to these in order. That's what I do with every podcast. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
I
and
listen
certainly
from the beginning.
With like a book podcast, right? Like the books go in an order, right? You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. There's no fucking machete cut. This is the real deal straight through.
Yeah, that's insanity. Like you can't, and we're making these episodes referring back to older books and stuff. Like this is not, we're not 8 years old just picking up whatever we happen to see in stock anymore, right? We're all adults here.
Correct. Now, would you like Error Fox Detected to purchase a copy of Megamorphs #1 Part 1 and I guess mail it to us?
So I feel like I have two different answers to that question.
First of all, we should maybe you're about to do this, but we should just comment on the fact that this is kind of a mystery solved for the show too.
It is kind of a mystery solved, for sure. Yeah, because I had never seen anything like about this other than on Seropedia.
Mm-hmm.
So my first answer to that question is yes, I would definitely like the individual parts of that book. The second answer to that question is I'm not really sure I want to ask a listener to go to a physical location and send me something.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
This is what it's like when you have a really successful, popular podcast.
Like ours.
You're sort of like royalty, you're like a celebrity. People just love you. They want to send you shit for free. Remember when we got those Blue Sky invites?
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
We're living large.
Those don't come cheap, the Blue Sky invites.
I used to have a board game show. People sent us, not many, but some people sent us like board game stuff or other, trinkets in the mail. It's kind of nice.
Wow. That's pretty nice.
I'd be willing, if you wanted it, to dox myself in your place, since I know you wouldn't want to dox yourself with your home address.
I could dox myself as long as it's only to one person.
We'll figure this out. We'll figure it out. I understand how you feel. It doesn't seem like a lot, but look, they're offering this, and we could also say we'll reimburse you for this book, which probably costs $2.
Yeah, I would happily reimburse you for this book, which probably costs $2.
Probably costs more to mail it than to buy it.
Anyway. No, I would happily pay for this.
But this is something you do have a complete collection, right? Or pretty close?
Yeah, I should. I am missing one book that I know I own. I have no idea where it is, and I have not bothered to replace it because we haven't gotten to it yet. But I will if I don't find it by then.
So then this is kind of maybe this is like your holy grail, but then you need part 2. So that's almost kind of worse.
Yeah. I would also need the individual parts of the Andalite Chronicles too. But
was that also a thing we discovered?
I think it was. Yeah.
Wild. The rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper. Boy, what is that? Is that rabbit an Animorph or something? Anyway,
book 23, The Pretender.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
I was trying to. Right. I couldn't think of one where they turn into a rabbit, but I guess that's the one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll discuss this.
But Error Fox Detected, thank you for your patronage, and not your literal patronage. We'll get to that, but thank you for your writing. Yeah, we'll respond. In fact, you'll probably read a response before you listen to this.
Yeah, thank you, and I hope you actually stick with the podcast and we don't push you out with our antics.
Just know that we're kind of playing Stephen Colbert-like characters. We don't really believe most of what we say. Like there's a lot of parts where I say I'm a feminist, and that is not true. So,
right.
So We'll update the listeners too if anything comes of this. Otherwise, you can let us know. Let it be known. We don't care if you just started listening or if you're a longtime listener or what your thoughts are. We don't need it to be timely. Email us theyerkyboys@gmail.com and we will read it on the air and respond because we're bored. And if you really like the show, you can also subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. Just $5 a month. You get bonus episodes. And this week we talk about Star Trek. What more do you want?
I think what more I want is to maybe start getting into this book.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you have any more business.
No.
All right. So this is a Melinda Metz ghostwriter. So she did book 29, The Sickness, as well, the one with where Cassie does brain surgery.
Famous book, big episode.
Famous book, big episode. 2 Cassie books. This is her last book. She only does 2 books. This one and the other one.
This was her second chance, and she blew it.
I mean, we can talk about the book. I think
just joking
when we get to the end. But yeah, for those who don't remember, this is probably the most famous ghostwriter that we had because she did the Roswell High book series, inspiration for the Roswell TV show, and she also wrote.
I don't remember
some other stuff like some Fear Street books and something involving Buffy.
She's most famous to me from The Sickness, so
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, just for those of you keeping track, that's who did this. This is our Cassie writer right now, I guess.
Yeah, and listeners may recall, I really only had one issue with that book, but it was not the writing. I thought that the ghostwriter did a pretty good job. So.
Yeah, and I think that holds true actually for a lot of this book as well. I don't know if
we'll get to it,
but we will get to it. All right, this cover here. Cassie's turning into a Hork-Bajir.
It's really good.
I like her Rey from Star Wars hairstyle in the second.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, as the horns come out of her head, it kind of makes the hair lumpies.
Yeah, also gives her a nice long neck.
Yeah, like that. That's a good neck. Kind of ET-ish too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's very much ET Cassie. Wearing very baggy clothing here, like a big oversized sweatshirt, which is not what you're supposed to wear when you morph. Points docked.
Right. Is that supposed to be like not stylish? I feel like isn't that like the Visco girls or whatever nowadays? The kids wear like oversized shirts. Was that maybe because Cassie's not like a Rachel type,
off screen in her left hand is her Stanley Cup. That's such a. Will anyone even know what that means? Will Error Fox Detective know what that means by the time she gets to this episode?
Probably not. Everyone will have forgotten due to
Why
the
are they talking
lead
about
poisoning.
Hockey? This is still not. I still picture Hork-Bajirs differently in my head. So when I see this cover, I'm like, oh yeah, they look weird.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's my problem.
I always forget. I'm sure you've gone over this before, but what is your how is it different? What's your kind of image?
Well, I forget when we talked about this. It might have been either Hork-Bajir Chronicles or maybe it was the season recap. But I think the best metaphor analogy we found was one of the early cell forms from Dragon Ball Z.
Right. Yes, I do recall this now.
I just never remember their necks are that long or that they're that lanky. I think of them as more humanoid in my head. But
they're more donkey than lanky.
Yeah.
Maybe a little cranky. Or funky.
Anyway.
I do think this Hork-Bajir pose is a little boring.
After the last book covers have sort of mixed things up, this is kind of a back to basics where we're standing in a linear line, which is what linear means. right? I just got that. There's Cassie's here, then she's there. Yeah, she's not even. Also, the profile side view is pretty boring. Like you just see her like a 2-dimensional character in a platformer game. It's not that fun.
Yeah, the Hork-Bajir looks very like just kind of stock Hork-Bajir. Like its side profile just kind of walking. Um, like I feel like we've seen Hork-Bajir before, and we've seen them in some pretty like fun poses on in some of the like art in on like the Hork-Bajir Chronicles and stuff. I kind of would have liked to see this Hork-Bajir doing something more dynamic and cool, but um, you
In
know,
their defense, they are pretty big, and it's probably hard to fit on a cover.
that's true. That is true. And I think maybe also some of the impact is lessened because like as at some point you mentioned this, I don't even remember if it was on pod. It was like we did Yerk, we did Andalite, now we're doing Hork-Bajir, like boom, boom, boom. So the novelty of like, whoa, what the heck is that thing is kind of like, yeah, I know that novelty already.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd still probably think it was cool though. I like the purple
It is cool.
background.
It
I
is
like
nice.
purple. I'm a purple guy. You know that?
Oh, you're a purple boy?
Yeah, I've always been a purple boy.
Oh, I mean, I do think it looks quite nice on that background there.
And the second and third Cassies are pretty good. They kind of look like something from John Carpenter's The Thing. The legs are about to sprout from her neck and crawl around.
Yeah, I like it. Can we talk about this quote? Both of these quotes.
At least yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I talk about last time you were saying this is the worst one yet. We're kind of in a streak of worst one yets, in my personal opinion.
This one is, I'm giving them points for not using the word change.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
I agree that it's bad.
So the outside cover here says, "What you don't know can't hurt you, except for the yerks."
3 dots. 3
dots. Yeah, both inner and outer covers are 3 dots. I think they kind of, at some point, they decided they're doing 3 dots now.
Kay Applegate got out of the kitchen and they're like, quick, while she's gone, get rid of a fucking dot.
Maybe they rehired, because Kay Applegate never did these. Maybe they hired a new team. Maybe KA saw what they were doing and was like, we're not, no. None of this nonsense. You got to get somebody else on the...
I think it's the opposite. I think she was overseeing it the whole time. They were always like, what do you think, Mrs. Applegate? And she was like, make that a fucking extra dot or you're fired. And then she was also like, and it's Ms. Applegate. It's fucking 1999 and I'm a feminist.
I like your, I like that the Scholastic quote writer is like a 1950s office guy.
It's his girl Friday. That's how all book publishing offices are to me. Come on, I need a Cassie book by Friday. I'm working on it, boss. I'm up to my elbows in Marco over here. I don't know. Okay.
That is what readers sound like to me. So, people who read, like books, they all sound like that. The inside cover here, the quote is, "Cassie's definitely up a tree."
Wait a minute. Okay, that's pretty good. That's good.
Is it? Is it really?
Because it has a literal meaning and a metaphorical meaning.
Does it really?
Yeah, you say you're up a tree when you're in trouble.
Do you, though?
Yeah, it's like up a creek, but it's up a tree.
No, you say you're up a creek. You bark up the wrong tree.
No, you say up a tree.
And you're up shit creek without a paddle.
Dictionary.com, in a difficult situation. As in, they found the drugs in his suitcase, so he was up a tree. I swear to God.
That's serious? I've never heard this before.
Well, I'm more amazed that that's the example sentence. But yeah, this is a real phrase.
All right. You know what? It's better if it's a real phrase. Maybe I just haven't heard it.
Yeah, it says colloquial early 1800s.
Okay, so that's
it's also the name of it's the name of an Adventure Time episode. And it's the name of a 1955 Donald Duck Chip and Dale cartoon.
Nice trivia.
That's
So it,
That's
it
me.
reaches through time, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Up a tree, baby. Now, this art in the inside cover. Now, that if you wanted the exciting Hork-Bajir poses, you're getting it here, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're on the Hork-Bajir homeworld. There's some Hork-Bajir controllers up in the tree firing Dracon beams down and blowing everything up, setting fires, and there's a whole bunch of Hork-Bajir, presumably the Animorphs, running away. I gotta say, Cassie's like just kind of standing there strutting side profile, put into the context of actually she's running, and everybody else is in the dynamic poses. She looks insane.
It looks sort of like she's tiptoeing, like she's dramatically sneaking up on someone, like a cartoon, like ba-doop, 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 ba-doop.
She's sneaking away on them as they fire. The other ones are all running. See that they're looking for the ones who run. They're not going to see her.
Also, the depiction of the Dracon beams that the other ones are firing, they look like it's a 70s laser light show. I didn't realize they have like a continuous beam. Or maybe that's just for illustration purposes.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say because like everybody's always used to Star Wars where they shoot like plasma bolts or whatever they say it is. If it was a laser, it would shoot a continuous beam. I guess they do call them beam weapons. I always imagined them as shooting a continuous beam, but I don't know how like explicit that ever is.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever describing a line of color and light or something.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think the closest is that they say they are beam weapons, whatever that means.
I think that's Dragon Ball Z.
As a special beam cannon.
Yeah, and then you've got some Horks climbing trees looking like weird lizards just flat against the tree, shimmying up.
Yeah. I mean, I love this inner cover.
So you're looking at this inner cover, and this pretty much reveals something that I was once again not aware of until I read the book, which is that we're going to Hork-Bajir homeworld.
Yeah.
So there you go. And I assume the passage does too. I didn't even read it.
The passage, if you didn't read the summary on the back, is like incoherent.
Well, it sure gives you something. It sure tells you somebody's name.
It sure does tell you somebody's name, although, like, what the hell that means is,
yeah, that's very confusing. Very confusing.
Yeah, although the back of the book would let you know, but...
Yeah, well, oh well.
But we're not. You're going to have to listen to, like, 10 more minutes to find that out.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I'll say so. First of what? No, I'll save that for the end. Just remind yourself to tell me what the prophecy was. Then I have a theory, but I'm not sure if I know what the prophecy is.
Yeah, if I were allowed to stretch this out like silly putty, I could explain what the prophecy was, but if anybody pushed back on it even a little bit, I'd be like, yeah, you're right, that was all bullshit. I'll just let you know right now, that's where I am on this title.
A little disappointing, but that's fine. And I'll just say that overall on this book, to set the stage, I'm actually really not sure how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I liked it while I was reading it. And the more time I spend sitting with it, the more I question whether or not I think it's any good.
Okay. So, I mean, okay, I was going to save this for the end, but I can give you a very brief summary. I think that this book is like inches away from being an S tier, one of the best in the series. And then at the very end, they fumble the whole thing and it drops it down to being fine. And it's hard to talk about why until we get to like literally the last chapter or two, because that's the point where I'm like, all the cool things that they were doing that I wanted to see paid off weren't paid off.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay. Yeah, we'll get there. Interesting.
Yeah.
And we should also say too, as a reminder for listeners, Hork-Bajir Chronicles is your favorite book.
Yeah.
Of all time.
That is
true.
Any
series.
When I was like, in the whatever 9 to 13 range, that was true. Hork-Bajir Chronicles was my favorite book of all time. when I was reading Animorphs.
Now
And
it's
it is
grass. I think grass overtook
now
it.
it's grass, but my favorite Animorphs book is still Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
So this, as a kid, this must have been the most exciting shit of your fucking life.
This was pretty exciting. And yeah, I mean, listeners don't even
All
know
right.
why yet.
Okay. We'll
They
get
don't
into
even
it.
know. We will. This is exciting.
It's
We're giving them
time.
so many teasers. All right. So let's start this book off. All right. It was a dark and stormy night. Rachel and Cassie are outside a spooky old Victorian house, and they are ready to morph rat and cat. And I think Marco should probably be there as a bat, but he's not. The house is Cassie's
Jake's there as a gnat.
Ooh, yeah. It's Cassie's math teacher's house. And she is grading papers. Cassie has accidentally turned in a doodle of a heart with Cassie loves Jake written in it. And it also, when they find it, Rachel also describes it as having a really dorky Cupid drawn next to it. So they break into her house as these animals, and they steal the doodle out before she sees it, and they save Cassie from the embarrassment of her teacher seeing this little Cassie loves Jake heart. Man, this is like a single digit book opening, right? Like this is like so close to the opening of book 9 where Cassie had the science fair project and they turned into rats to run her maze.
Yeah, it's pretty classic. It's pretty disposable.
Yeah.
Before we're going to get into it, I also forgot, I want to say, as listeners may know, probably forgot, I'm reading the ebook versions of these books, and most or all of them are just translated by fans, I think, just like created these ebooks at some point. And a lot of them are very poorly formatted and clearly were automated and nobody checked anything. This ebook actually has, not only does it actually have chapter breaks for me, but they're like images. So I have the font of the chapter breaks saying chapter 1, chapter 2, etc. So this was a really exciting experience for me in that sense.
That is very exciting. Yeah, your ebooks seem worse. There's like a official author approved repository of like PDFs of the books, which are significantly better than your ebooks, but I guess they don't work on Kindle or I don't know. I don't have a Kindle.
They might work on my Kindle, but I didn't figure it out, and these are just easier, and they're already on my Kindle, so
sure.
I fuck PDFs. But so thank you to richard.animorphsforum.com. It says did this book. Anyway, yeah, this whole thing. Why was Rachel a cat? Like, why weren't they both rats?
Someone bigger to run interference.
It doesn't. I don't really know. It's so, the whole thing is so pointless.
Yeah, it's just they just wanted an intro scene, which is also fine. I don't mind them just doing a fun little, more for personal reasons intro scene, but yeah.
Well, it introduces the idea that her relationship with Jake, which, by the way, this teacher doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, no.
What does she think? Like, oh no, the teacher's in front of the whole class is going to expose her love. Like, what?
Yeah, I guarantee you, like, there's multiple boys in the class who are like, oh fuck, I accidentally put my drawing covered with dicks in there. Like, I doodled like 10 dicks on this piece of paper and I turned it in. Oh no.
A little like, Jonah Hill from Superbad. And it also gives her a chance to say how good at morphing she is, which is sort of important later. That's pretty important, I guess, later.
Yeah, it's important later, sure.
But, you could have done that anyway.
On the Cassie and Jake thing, I was a bit confused because Cassie was talking about how she and Jake don't refer to each other as lesbians, which I didn't really understand why that would be the...
Yeah, right. They never use the L word.
They never use the L word with each other yet.
I think Jake identifies as a lesbian.
Interesting. Justify that?
I guess I would left justify. It's a little formatting joke.
Okay, yeah, okay. I get it. I see it. Yeah, right, because you're in a... Yeah. That's good.
She also says they have kissed a few times.
Yeah. Spicy.
Wow, these two are wild.
They sure are.
More or less than Tobias and Rachel. Do you think once
Oh,
Tobias and Rachel kissed for supposedly the first time, that then they wouldn't stop?
you would think that, but I don't know. I kind of get the sense that they kissed that one time, and then they probably don't do it anymore. Probably
Yeah.
Rachel's like, Tobias, you're in my room at night. You could turn into a boy and we could kiss. And Tobias is like, no, bird only.
He's just like, feed me a rat. Squee!
Dear.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so there's that. These
Yeah.
kids are pretty chaste, you know?
Yeah, they are. Can I point out a little bit of language I really liked here? She decides, because she's a rat, that she doesn't want to go up the stairs, so she's going to go up the banister instead, and she refers to the stair banister as the rat ramp. I gotta say,
yeah.
I'm a fan of the rat ramp.
That is pretty good. She says it as if that's just an established thing that we call that.
Yeah. Decided to take the rat ramp instead.
What's wrong over there? Nothing. I just bumped into the rat ramp. I'll be in a minute. You know?
Kind of makes me want to get some pet rats so that I can get him a rat ramp.
Yeah. Sounds like it's a rat ramp from under the mat. It's a rat ramp. It's a rat ramp rap.
It does sound like that. I'm glad I have you here for these useful insights.
This is what the people want.
Yeah.
Once
How much
again,
time do you think the other podcasts spend talking about the rat ramp?
That's
Book
right.
34?
Not enough. Not nearly enough. Every listener they had that made it up to this book and other podcasts stopped here because they're saying that's all they had to say about the rat ramp. That's it?
Yeah. That's why we're the premier Animorphs podcast.
That's the Yerky Boys guarantee. Okay.
All right. So after all these shenanigans, all right, hold on to your hats.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, I'm only doing the next 2 chapters here. Okay, so Cassie flies home, and she sees a Hork-Bajir outside her barn, and she's like, oh, fuck, shit, they're the Ixcila family, they're going to get my family, they're going to round everybody up. She's about to attack, and just as she's about to gouge the Hork-Bajir's eyes out, she realizes it's Jerahami. So Toby has asked Jera to go and get the morphs and bring them to the valley because an Arn has landed in the Hork-Bajir Valley. Now, do we all remember what Arn are? I think I brought it up last episode, actually.
Might not even remember who Jerahami is.
Yeah, Jerahami is one of the Hork-Bajir they freed for the free Hork-Bajir Valley. Toby is his seer daughter, and the Arn are the species that created the Hork-Bajir to tend the trees on the Hork-Bajir homeworld.
Which has, up until now, not been referenced outside of the Chronicles.
At all. Yeah, if you have not read the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, this book throws so much at you. Like, if that book had not existed, holy shit. But yeah, in case you forget what they look like, they're like 2 to 3 feet tall. They got 4 legs and 2 arms. They kind of look like chadus, which are like weird bird-like creatures.
I actually
4
looked
legs
up
and 2 arms.
I looked up fan art of these guys because I couldn't figure out what they looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're kind of like bird with like big bug eyes.
Yeah, all kinds of vivid colors.
I don't know why. I guess because the Mercoro were crab-like people, right?
Yeah.
I sort of just, my immediate instinct was just, oh, these guys are like crabs. I think I just want to think of every alien as crabs and Animorphs.
Yeah, it's like that thing where everything evolves into crabs. Well, I mean, they're short and flat, right? So it kind of makes sense.
They also just feel like they're dicks, and I don't know, I just get a dick vibe from crabs.
Yeah, but the Mercora are nice. Anyway, they Cassie rallies all the Animorphs. They head out to the valley. They say hi to Toby, and they meet this Arn, whose name is Quafaginivin. And
Wow.
Quafaginivin is the last of the Arn. All the rest of the Arn are dead now. And Quafaginivin is also dying. He proclaims he will die in 412 days. If we remember, Arn are really good at biology. So he wants to get DNA samples from the free Hork-Bajir, and he wants to breed a bunch of new Hork-Bajir for the Hork-Bajir homeworld to fight the Yeerks there. He wants to breed a new army, and he wants to arm them with weapons that were stashed by Aldrea and Dak before they died. And Toby very hesitantly agrees to this. And this is not the weird part. Things get much more bonkers than this, but we really need to stop before we get to the weird part, because it's a lot. So let's talk about this Arn.
I think that's wise.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I thought it was a little out of character how ready Cassie was to fuck up this Hork-Bajir in her barn. But I guess her character's kind of been back and forth on that for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I quite like that scene because I think it does a good job with the fake out and like the quick emotional shift. Like Cassie's going in there to fuck it up with this idea of like, oh, they're literally on my doorstep. They're about to kidnap and infest my family. Jake and Rachel are probably also being ambushed. I'm going to have to go try to warn them after I take this thing. Like she's immediately in like, it's fight mode time. And I think they do a good job, like not just putting you in that mindset, but also in like, once she realizes it's Jerahami, it's not just like, oh, hi, Jera. It's like we have to take several paragraphs for her to reset and be like, oh, actually everything's fine. My family aren't about to be infested. Everybody's not dead. I like that bit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. She says it made her nauseous that she almost blinded him.
Yeah. Isn't that nice of Cat? Do you... Because Rachel, and probably Marco and Jake too, wouldn't have... they would have been like, oh, I almost blinded him. Jera, how are you so stupid?
I don't think they would have recognized him. They would have just been like, they would have just done it.
I was wondering about that. I was like, how many of the Animorphs do you actually think can recognize Jerahami by face? And how many of them do you think are just racists and they all look the same to me?
Yeah, well, they do. And they are, and I am. But they do. So...
No, yeah. Jerahami is quite dashing and handsome for a Hork-Bajir.
Well, we're talking about canon, not the art that you look at.
Excuse me? I draw that art.
So, well, and then what do you do with it? Not look at it? I rest my case. The Arn are back. Yes. One Arn is back.
One Arn is back. Oh boy.
And this is where I was excited. I was like, holy shit, it's a Hork-Bajir Chronicles sequel. Not even realizing what was in store for me.
Yeah. This book goes from 0 to 100 real quick. We like when you start off with the dumb nothing opening that doesn't tie into anything, and then just immediately, oh, there's an Arn here. We need to breed an army of Hork-Bajir for the Hork-Bajir homeworld, and we're still accelerating.
Yeah. At some point, Tobias told them the Hork-Bajir Chronicles story,
which is good because otherwise we'd have to do we still sort of have to do it piecemeal here. But
I mean, let's just say it right now. A lot of this book feels like a recap of that book to me, like more than I think it should.
I understand that fully. I would agree with that. I understand why you might assume as a writer of a children's series, you might be like, oh, some people might think the Chronicles are like extraneous. They might only be reading the main series books and like it's literally never been mentioned before. But yeah, I do agree. There's a lot of passages that just kind of, tell you what happened in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
Yeah, or even just setting up, like, again, where we're seeing things we already saw in that book, so we have to describe them for you again as if they're new.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I mean, that was good. Yeah, okay, it's all right. but it's a lot. It's like there's a lot. If you cut a lot of that stuff from this book, you wouldn't have that much left in terms of actual plot.
Yeah, it does feel at times like maybe Kay Applegate or somebody was saying, the Hork-Bajir Chronicles is a great book, and some kids aren't reading it because it's longer than it's like one of the big long books, and they just want the quick short book. I should just I should write all that into one of the short books so they get it anyway.
Right. Yeah. Why didn't he just call it fucking Animorphs 30 or whatever, the Hork-Bajir Chronicles? If you wanted people to read it so bad, then fucking make them read it.
Book 34, The Chronicles.
Right. The Hork-Bajir Chronicles still works.
Well, it's too many words.
Doesn't have to be one word, does it?
Are they all
one word?
They're all one word.
No, what about the invasion?
Okay, you got me on that one.
The Chronicles parentheses Hork-Bajir, okay? I'm impressed and surprised that how readily and breezily you said Quafiginivon. Is that what you said?
Oh, wait. Did I even say Quafiginivin? Yeah, that's what it is. I don't know
Quafiginivin is how you're saying it?
So I'm pretty sure that is the because in the past I didn't I had multiple possible pronunciations for Quatsanikan, and I think you had or no, that's how I had always said it, but then you had said that you imagined it as like Quatsinikan, and that maps very well onto this one. Quatsinikan, Quafiginivin, you know what I mean? So it just felt very natural after our Hork-Bajir Chronicles episode.
So this is my fault, you're saying?
No, fault is the wrong word. This is your victory that you've made these names easy to pronounce.
Okay. There's so many more syllables in this one is the thing. Quafiginivin.
Yeah. It's like Michael Finnegan, Quafiginivin. Or old Quafiginivin, begin again.
I don't know. I don't think I know what that is. What's that?
Once was a man named Michael Finnegan. Why don't you know all of these recursive songs? Is this just my Midwest heritage coming through? You didn't know Jan
Is this like
Janssen?
a Viking song? This is like a fucking sailing dirge? What is that?
Listen, I'm gonna.
Are you Irish?
I think it's a Midwest thing, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's a fucking weirdo thing. What the fuck's wrong with you?
It feels to me like this is you. This is your thing.
I know Seamus Finnegan.
Yeah, but that's
from Harry Potter,
right? That's not this.
Oh, Harry.
How many recursive songs do you know? Like
I
the
don't
songs
know what
that
recursive means.
Where the song just repeats infinitely forever.
This is the song that does.
Yeah,
it.
Right. Like that. Right, like one of those. How many of those do you know?
One. That's the one I know.
Oh.
Row your boat. Does that count? I don't fucking know.
I don't know if that one counts. I think that one's just a round. But no, I've got to know at least half a dozen of these. Yeah, clearly it's something.
That's weird.
Something about your East Coast upbringing just insulated you from the number of these that are floating around, I think.
Is this it feels like a Viking thing, like a thing you sing on boats.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's coming from those Minnesotans.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Coming through my dad's Wisconsin heritage.
It's fucking disgusting, honestly. It's making me repulsed by you. And everything that stands for your heritage.
Making me kind of proud, yeah.
Ugh. Fucking nasty. You and Alexander Skarsgård can fucking sing your songs. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right.
We will.
Shut the fuck up. We can't talk about this right now.
Yeah, we have a lot to get to.
Quafiginivin.
Right. Yeah, you had something to say about this, Arn, I think, before we went on that tangent.
Well, it kind of sounds like Quafijonathan.
Okay, Quafijonathan. I like it.
I'm shocked that I just assumed the Animorphs were going to be like, we'll call you Quaff for short, but they never do that. They just don't say his name at
Yeah,
all.
I think they mostly refer to him as the Arn. You know, that Arn over there.
They're like, okay, we're just not going to bother with that
Yeah.
shit.
A little racist, but maybe it's warranted.
Is Quaff, I'm going to call him Quaff.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of the Quaffle. Is Quaff very old, or do the Arn have short lifespans? Why is he dying?
Or maybe he's sick or injured. They don't explain, I don't think.
They don't. And nobody asks. He's like, yeah, I'll be dead in a year. And everyone's just like, oh, good. Who the fuck asked, dude? Who cares? Good for you.
Last of the Arn, good. Fuck off.
What the fuck do we care? Even Cassie's like, not like, oh, but every species has good in it. Just like, I don't give a shit. So that's kind of funny. I mean, yeah.
It's just that they have like weird Arn trust issues, right? Like they spend so much. Like the immediate response everybody has is "fuck the Arn." The Arns suck. Fuck everything this guy has to say. And then it's kind of weird when he says, I would like to have your DNA so that I can breed a new army of Hork-Bajir to go fight the Yeerks. And Toby's like, well, I guess that's little enough to ask. Like, what the fuck? You just spent all these words being like, I don't trust this guy, fuck this. And then that's little enough to ask? We're not going to engage with that. That's not setting off any alarm bells. Let's not think about the morality. Like, I understand Jake and Marco being like, oh, well, maybe it's a good idea to open up a new front or something. But, like, Toby's like that? Tobias or Cassie, nobody comes in and is all like, wait a second, hold on. Rachel doesn't say, I don't trust this guy. Mm-hmm. They're just like, all right, well, okay, we could do that.
At no point do any of them discuss the potential ethical ramifications of creating an entire world of new life.
Yeah.
Like that's just assumed. Yeah, I guess it's because the other thing that we're about to get to, that's the thing they spend all this time debating, and you just they couldn't do both. Yeah. I mean, you didn't really need both. You probably should have cut one of these things.
Yeah, I do actually think when we get to the end and when we get to what it felt like the book was building toward, I'll talk more about it. It does feel like there's a reason to have both, but like, yeah, it's not explored or thought about in any way, and yeah, maybe if you cut all of the parts that were just rehashes of the Hork-Bajir and then you filled out that theme, I think there was room for both of them in here, but
perhaps. Yeah, it's strange. It's a lot. It's a lot. So, but they're just like, yeah, it's fine. Presumably he's going to jerk them all off.
Right.
Like they don't specify what the DNA is, but presumably that's what he's going to do.
That would be my guess.
Either he's going to set up a little tent and they'll line up outside. Each Hork just walks in, jerks them off. Next.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is what my fan fiction's going to be.
This is what I'm picturing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When we write our fan fictions, we'll have a couple of categories, and one of them is erotic, and that one might have a couple more entry. What are you saying? I don't
fully understand. I guess that his equipment at home in the lab was damaged by the Yeerks, and that's why, like, the Arn initially created the Horks from scratch. So why does he need their DNA now? Couldn't he just make it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's easier to do if you have a base, and they do talk about his equipment being destroyed later.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the biggest plot hole in this book, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's just something that I don't. They just breeze by this concept so quickly that it's like there's a lot you could talk about here.
Yeah, and we are.
And we did.
Yeah. Another thing they breeze past very quickly is that I feel like they are not concerned enough about how he found them. Like, Jake is all like, do the Yeerks know we're here? Like, how'd you find the Hork-Bajir Valley? And the Arn's like, oh no, the Yeerks don't know. the Arn just have tech for tracking their biological creations, and Rachel's like, shut the fuck up, we don't care anymore. If the Yeerks don't know, move on. Why don't they care about this? Like, can the Yeerks develop this tech? Can they use this tech to find Yeerk hideouts? I feel like this is something to be concerned with, but it's just not. They just need to say that so that everybody doesn't go, but how did he find the Hork-Bajir Valley on Seropedia?
The Yeerks... yeah, that was my edit. The Yeerks are not as good at tech as the Arn, who famously are not good at tech.
Right. Well, they're good at biotech.
This is the next part, but that made no sense at all to me.
Yeah, no, it just, yeah, they're hand waving it away. Don't worry about it.
We're unequaled in biological science, but we have no great technological skill. What do you think technology is? Yeah. What do you think that means?
We discussed this in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, but yes, this is
we did? They said this was from that too?
Yeah, this was from that in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. The Arn specifically, the whole reason the Hork-Bajir homeworld happened is because they saw a meteor coming to destroy the planet, and they were like, we don't have the tech to destroy it or divert it. We only have the tech to put ourselves in cold sleep and rebuild the ecology of the planet, which is why we have to make the trees in the Hork-Bajir. That was like the whole... It was dumb. I understand why you forgot it. It was dumb.
Yeah, I mean, a lot happened in the 3 episodes we discussed that book during, but...
Yeah. No, makes sense. It's easy to get those details lost.
Mm-hmm. But I'm glad they pointed it out again here, because it was once again relevant to the plot.
Yeah. It didn't have to be. Like, you could just be like, I'm only one guy. I want to make a new army of Hork-Bajir. Who cares how good he is at tech? He's one guy and he's done. They didn't need to say that. I personally think.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that would kind of work. I don't know. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, no, you know what I care about? When they're flying in here, and Tobias looks over to Rachel and goes, so, Rachel, there are some nice thermals today. We have a sweet little tailwind. You don't have to exhaust yourself with all that flapping. Just a classic Tobias move trying to show off to his GF by bird-splaining everything.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay, fine.
Fucking
Tobias. All right. So, I would like to point out that I am now beginning chapter 4 of this book.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to move us along. We're actually doing okay so far, so I'm trying to get us through this.
Yeah, I just want people to understand that what I say here is not like something that happens decently into the book. This is still right off the fucking bat. Okay. Yeah. So, Quaffajinavin doesn't know where the weapons stash that Dak and Aldrea hid is, but he has a plan, which is that he has in his possession the Ixcila of Aldrea Ixcilian Fallon. Now, what is an Ixcila? To quote Quaffajinavin, an Ixcila is her stored persona, her brainwave patterns, her memories, her personality, her essence. It is, basically it's her ghost, but it's technology and not magic. Okay, John? It's not magic, it's technology. And so in order to use it, in order to use the Ixcila, they will have to perform the Atafalxical, or ceremony of rebirth, which is not a seance. It's a very high-tech technological thing, not a seance. It's not a cult. And when they perform the Atafalxical, the Ixcila will find and inhabit a receptacle mind. Now, this is different from possession, okay? Right, and the two will share a mind until the Ixcila is returned to its container. So they expect Aldrea's Ixcila should gravitate toward a similar person, female, strong, fierce, independent, like probably either Toby or Rachel. So they head to a spooky, dark, dank cave to do this. And Quaffajinavin pulls out the Ixcila, which is a small, bright green, glowing vial. And a wisp of vapor comes out of the vial, which is not a ghost. And the vial turns bright red, and everything in the cave starts glowing bright red. And Quaffajinavin is calling, like, you know, Aldrea, we call you Aldrea, and it's all spooky, and Aldrea's Ixcila chooses a receptacle, which is Cassie. Shocker! It's not Rachel or Toby; it's Cassie. Uh
Okay.
okay. So
Okay. It's kind of a lot.
yes, I did like 2 chapters. What do you?
So the Ixcila, the silica gel.
Yeah, the Ixcila and the Atafalxicle.
What the fuck's the atafalxicle?
The Atafalxicle is the ceremony of rebirth.
Oh,
It's the seance they do.
right. Yeah, what the fuck? This is it's clearly magic. I don't understand what they're going for here.
Yeah. Like it's so weird. Like I mean I have seen the concept of like the computer ghost, right? Like, oh, we made an imprint of your mind and it's still alive. And so we can talk to you even though you're dead. I think didn't they do that in like Winter Soldier or some shit or Civil War? Like one
Well,
of those Marvel movies?
I was gonna say maybe you're thinking of like Ultron or something. I don't
No,
know.
like the guy in the basement. I
Guy
don't
in the
know.
basement. Oh, you mean
Like the like
right.
yeah.
Arnim Zola, is that who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was thinking it's kind of like Avatar, Way of Water.
It is a lot like Avatar Way of Water, yeah.
Yeah, they make like backups of their consciousness in case they die. And if they die,
Yeah.
they put them in a new avatar body. Basically
Yeah.
what happens.
So I like I've seen this concept before, but like they don't treat it like it's a technology thing. Like they literally hold like they do the classic horror movie scene where the lighting turns red and everything, the music gets like low deep bass and yeah, like it's just a ghost.
That's what's so confusing about it. As far as I can remember, the Arn were not ever really depicted as like if this were the Hork-Bajir, it would make sense because they're sort of more, it's kind of like a stereotypical ancient tribe kind of vibes with rituals and stuff.
Mm.
But the Arn are like a highly advanced technological species.
Okay, so this is not explicit, but it is implied multiple times is that the Ixcila is Andalite technology and not Arn technology. Because we see multiple times later on where we see like comments like, oh, I didn't think that the Arn were going to be competent enough to transfer an Ixcila properly, type of thing.
I mean, first of all, okay, went over
So,
my head, no idea.
okay.
Second of all, that doesn't make it make more sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, this really.
It makes it make
Maybe.
less sense,
Maybe
maybe.
you have a point that the Andalites should have been magical. If they're gonna do the Ixcila and the Utsum and the Hirak Delest and the Morph, like at a certain point, how much like
Right.
our technology is just ghosts and spirits can you do before you should just make it ghosts and spirits? Maybe
Yes.
you're right.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's amazing that I went on that rant, like, and it seems like every book now is magic. Like, what's going on? It's so. I want it. Like, was this K.A. Applegate's idea, or whose idea was this stuff?
I wonder if this is bleeding through from her Everworld series because because she would have been like well into writing that at this point, and the premise of that is that like all the ancient gods, like the Norse gods and the Greek gods and like Merlin and the Aztec, all these people from the old fables like left
Merlin.
our universe to go into a different universe, and these kids like fall into that universe. So I almost wonder if she's like, yeah, I have like witches and wizards and magic and weird ancient god powers, and I want to write some of that into Animorphs. And oh, I guess I got to make that technology this time, don't I?
I forgot about what science fiction is. Anyway, it's fine. It doesn't. It's bizarre. I like. yeah, there's a lot of questions about the Ixcila and exactly how it works and what it is. And how do you get how do you, because it's not like an AI profile or something of their personality. It's, which I guess is that how, I don't even know how it works in Avatar, to be honest with you. How do
Yeah,
they
I mean,
get,
it feels like it's a little bit more sophisticated than AI. Like it's legitimately like we're gonna make an exact copy of like your neural pathways and like chemical whatever shit, and just be like the brain is a physical structure, so we can make a digital copy of everything in that structure, and then if we fire it up, it'll just be the same you or something.
right? Like you
It's
said, I've seen this before, so I'm sort of willing to go, at least on a basic level, to go along with it and say you can extract the consciousness of a person and put it in something. Fine.
mhm.
That's fine.
Yeah, and you can't just treat it as a ghost, because as we're gonna see later, like Aldrea's not just over here like, and then I died and now I'm an Ixcila. Aldrea's up here like, I remember getting my Ixcila imprinted, and then I woke up here and I don't know what happened to me afterwards. So like you do
Right.
have to treat it like that tech thing.
Just like Avatar. That's exactly how it
Right.
happens.
Just like Avatar, yeah.
So great. That's fine. We're all primed for that thanks to James Cameron's masterpiece.
Yes. Thank you, James Cameron.
Personally, if it were me, I'd put Aldrea in Axe, but I don't.
Well,
I
as we
didn't.
might see, Aldrea has renounced her Andalite. Uh, yeah, she
Yeah,
doesn't think of herself as an Andalite.
which I guess I forgot, or was that not really a part of the book? I didn't. How long has it been since we read that? Because
Yeah, I know. The conclusion to that book, she like decides to turn against her people and then becomes trapped permanently in Hork-Bajir morph and like goes off
yeah,
into the sunset with Dak. So like she hasn't gotten to that point, but like clearly the ending of the book is, and then she lived out the rest of her days as a Hork-Bajir. So it makes sense that if you time skip like 5 years or something, she's just like, no, I'm not a fucking Andalite. I'm a Hork-Bajir.
I guess, and I guess they did, like, she is disgusted with her people when she finds out about the the virus and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but it was, wasn't expecting it, and I also was not expecting this tension between Axe and Toby too.
Hmm.
Like they're sniping at each other, and I'm like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah. Now I do quite like this. Toby has every right to be sniping at Axe, I think. Axe gets a little too big for his britches sometimes, and let's not forget that his people genocided Toby, so maybe he should, chill the fuck out a little bit. Uh, now, yeah, no, it's pretty good. Because Axe is, well, we find out in this section here, we get our first mention of one of the recurring themes, which is that Aldrea won't, like, they can't force her Ixcila out of Cassie, right? Like, now that it's in there, right, she'll have to choose to leave. And so Axe is very distrustful. He's like, oh, an Andalite who chose to remain a Hork-Bajir? I don't know if I trust an Andalite like that to leave Cassie. And Toby's like, what the fuck did you say about my great grandmother, bitch? Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. I like the conflict. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it is something a lot of times. Well, no, that's not true. There's often conflict between the Animorphs, but I guess this is a different sort of.
Hmm.
This is more of a, like, internal views of the world conflict.
Yeah. Yeah,
Than
and it's a little bit
just,
more venomous, I think,
yeah,
like throughout this book when characters have conflict.
yeah. There's not an understanding between these characters of that we're all a team necessarily.
Yeah, no, because they don't really know each other that well.
Um. Yeah. So then we get proof here that Cassie is more fierce and independent than Rachel.
Uh,
Yeah, it picked her, so she's the fiercest and strongest, toughest one.
Once again, so many themes in this book, I have to just be like, listen, we find out why Aldrea picked Cassie, and that happens at the very end, and I have thoughts about why they don't explore that well. And why
Okay.
they almost do, but they don't. But they kind of have to wait till the very
And
end.
every time they don't, they almost do.
But yeah, they aren't expecting they aren't expecting Aldrea to pick Cassie. They're expecting her to pick Toby or Rachel, but
But
we
of
don't
course,
know
as the
why right
reader, I'm expecting her to pick Cassie because she's the POV character for
now.
no other
Right.
reason.
Yeah. Every reader's here, even if you hadn't, read the whatever, you're still here like, so she's gonna pick Cassie, but why? And then they pick Cassie, and it's like, but why? We'll find out.
Well, I mean, it's sort of, I think if when we read Hork-Bajir Chronicles, you kind of see Cassie and Aldrea, right? Maybe? I don't remember.
Do you? I don't think you do.
No, I thought she's kind of like,
She's kind of mean and violent. And like screaming about how much she wants to murder every Yerk.
I guess I just don't remember anything about that book.
You got to go back and reread it. It's not acceptable for you not to remember that book.
Your favorite book, and
My favorite book.
Who cares? Whatever.
Yeah,
Doesn't
you're
matter.
being kind of rude right now.
Aldrea, Schmaldrea. Gives a shit.
All right. So Aldrea's in Cassie's head now, right? And so okay.
They're both girls. I think that's why.
Right. Yes, unlike Rachel or Toby.
And they're young.
Right, unlike Rachel or Toby.
Toby's too young.
Okay. So Cassie. Okay, so Cassie
Rachel's kind of like a man because she's strong.
Right. She can feel Aldrea in her head. She like tries to commune with her. They describe it as having like a mental block or something where like she knows there's these thoughts and feelings there, but she can't access them. It's like different from having a yerk in your head. It's like having two minds in your head. Right. We get like the scene where Aldrea's like panicked and confused. She has to like learn how to use Cassie's like eyes and speech centers. She sees her great granddaughter for the first time. It's very touching, etc. Whatever. They explain to her what happened, and she like has to kind of come to terms with the fact that everyone she knew and loved is now dead. And she's now all proud of Toby. Whatever. She settles in. They explain the situation to Aldrea, and she doesn't want to help the Arn because she doesn't trust him, and she doesn't trust Arn. She hates him. But Toby convinces her to help, even though she's reluctant about it. So before they actually head out and do this mission, there's a scene where Cassie and Aldrea practice sharing control of their body and sharing control of their speech, and they practice morphing together. And this is also where we get the 2 points established that A, Aldrea herself does not have any idea why she chose Cassie. She has no memory of doing it. And B, we start getting hints that Aldrea might not want to leave Cassie like she's supposed to when it's all over.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is that we're giving this thing life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just going to have her help us find these weapons that we need to find. Did you even say that? I don't even remember.
Yeah. This was the idea that, Quaffaginovan needed to find the stash of weapons that Aldrea and Dak hid. So he got Aldrea's, yeah.
And then it's like, once you're done, all right, thank you. Stop existing now, please.
Yeah.
But it's your choice, though. You have to decide to do it. Just stop existing. Thank you.
Right. That is the idea.
I mean, they couldn't have... whatever. Forget it. I'm sure it has to be a person. It's fine. It's fine. They couldn't have got a robot body from a chi. Couldn't have been a chi body. Or even if it has to be biological, I don't know, a bird or something.
Well, Aldrea chose it. Like, that's the idea, is that, like, they didn't put it in Cassie. They did the seance, and then Aldrea chose the body.
Right, because that's the one thing she has agency over as a that's just how it works when you're a test tube of consciousness goo. You still get to choose that for
Right.
some
Well,
reason.
because they do kind of want to have it both ways on her also being a ghost. So like the ghost decides who it possesses. You can't just force a ghost into a particular person, you know. I don't know. What do you
None of
want?
it's all so just contrived to make whatever they need to happen work. It's like everything about how this ritual and science operates is just it's just completely arbitrary. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, which
Uh,
I would be fine with if I keep coming back to it, if the actual points they're dealing with cohered in the end. Because, like, again, I don't really care if about plot holes if you like make a powerful message or like do something really cool with it, and the book almost does, I think. But yeah,
I don't
no,
even
it
know if
doesn't
I
make
want to
sense.
use plot hole might be too strong. I don't know. I try to,
Yeah,
people call things plot holes that aren't plot holes, which is annoying. But it's
yeah.
more just it just doesn't add anything. It's just none of it is,
Mhm.
or it's like too convenient the way they designed it. When like
Yeah,
it could have just been you drink this, she's in you now, or something. It just, why is it so complicated?
yeah.
It feels
Well,
like
I
it's
mean,
just to obscure it so that you don't ask why it doesn't make sense.
yeah. Well, listen, like the fact that Aldrea chose Cassie is potentially very relevant to what they're doing, but like you know what I mean. Like
Or how about like we established that don't the Arn use chips? They like put chips in things and people.
again, if they chose to use Cassie, it removes agency from Aldrea, and that completely changes the dynamic. Like I
Yeah,
understand just being like, listen,
right.
it's convoluted to get it to this point, but that's okay because I'm doing something with this point. It doesn't matter how I get there.
I don't know. It matters to me.
I
Why
feel
is she
like
a
it doesn't.
liquid?
I feel like when it's good, it doesn't matter to you. Like I
I
feel like these kinds of
guess.
nitpicks
Yeah,
bother you when you
maybe.
really like it on the
But
whole.
just why is she a liquid? That it just doesn't make sense.
Because it's cool. It looks cool.
No, if you upload your consciousness to a computer, you should be like a file. You should be on a hard drive or a computer chip. Why would you be goo? I don't. That doesn't make sense.
Listen, again, I think that if you had some horror movie you really liked and you had like some spirit and they gave an explanation for it and I was like, that doesn't make sense, you'd be like, shut up, nerd, it looked cool. Like I agree it doesn't make sense, but I don't think that's the biggest problem.
I guess. I guess I could see a world where this is some weird like Cronenberg thing where it's like technology but organic as well. I mean, I guess that's their whole. It's just that I guess maybe my issue is that this. I feel like this wasn't established in Chronicles. Like it's maybe, and I guess I forgot that book. But I was thinking of the Arn as big computer 50s Star Trek computers and not weird
Yeah.
organic
Again, this
computers.
is Andalite tech.
Well, it says you, but fucking the book didn't tell me that.
The book says, Aldrea specifically says, I remember giving my Ixcila to the Arn, but I was pretty sure they weren't going to be able to pull it off because they aren't
That's
good
what
at tech like
that
Andalites are.
fucking
She
doesn't.
says that.
That is a stretch. That is
No,
a
she
stretch.
says that.
No, she
How
says
is that?
that. But that doesn't. That could just be her saying they suck at tech, not I invented this.
No, she's not saying that she invented it. She's saying she already knows what this is because, like, it's an Andalite thing.
Well,
Axe knows what an Ixcila
but
is.
right, but those you have to admit you are
I'm not
interpreting that a
stretching.
little bit.
No, I'm like
They
they don't.
don't say ... because Andalites made
No,
this.
they don't explicitly say it, but I don't think there's any other way to read it.
I think there is another way to read it, which
Yeah,
is that
to
they
not
didn't.
read it. That's
They
how the
didn't
other way.
invent
You could
it.
just not read it.
Why? There's no evidence towards that other than she
Other than
knows
the
what it
evidence that I
is.
said. That you're just choosing to ignore.
That there's the only explanation that for her knowing about this tech is that her
And
people
Axe
invented
knowing
it.
about this tech and like
Yes, the two
okay, fine, maybe
other
it's not
alien world explorers who live in this
fine, maybe
book.
it's some not Andalite tech, but it's clearly not Arn tech.
Again, I don't. They could just be bad at tech, but it's like a thing
then-
they do. I don't know. I just think you are taking things for granted a little bit. You're just making assumptions and running with them and
I
saying,
feel
of
like
course it's
you're.
right because I made this connection. So of course it's right.
I feel like you just didn't notice this, and so now you're getting defensive.
Um, let's see. I'm looking at Seropedia here. All they say is it is part of ARN biotechnology
Hmm.
about the Ixcila. That is what they
Well,
say.
I don't trust Seropedia.
Yeah, of course you don't.
Why would I?
It's not under, they have a section, Andalite technology. This one is listed under technology, comma, ARN.
I don't
So,
think it's Arntech.
so clear again, just look, you might be, I'm not saying there's no basis. Like, your theory is valid. It's just, I think it's ridiculous to act like there's no other possible way Aldrea could know about this tech. Like, that's too far.
Well, it's not that she. Whatever. It's not that she knew about it. It's
that
that
she
she
thinks
knew
they're
about it being
bad at it.
a successful thing that could work, and then didn't know that the Arn could do whatever. Whatever. It's the difference between
what it
how
is?
she thinks of it and how she thinks of the Arn using it, and how there's a
It's just-
discrepancy.
We're arguing over, the reason we're arguing over this is because it's just written badly. This is okay. It's not your fault or mine. They didn't do a good job explaining it.
Yeah. I mean, again, this doesn't have to be an important part here, I don't think.
No, we should stop talking about it. What
All
the
right,
fuck
fine.
is next? What else fucking happened in this section? I don't even remember. What are we talking about?
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
All right.
She's in her head. Are we moving on?
Jesus Christ. There's so much shit here that happens. Oh man, like we get I like the Toby and Aldrea interactions here. I think that they're all really good. There's some great Toby quotes here. I love there. So one of the good interactions here, I like where when Toby is convincing Aldrea to go do this, and she says, we must be a free people. So far, our freedom here in this valley, on this planet, has been bought and paid for by these humans, our friends. But freedom can't be given. It must be taken and held and defended. Our freedom has to be our own creation. And Aldrea responds, "Brave talk, Toby. You may reconsider when you see the bodies piled high. Your great grandfather did." I love this conversation. I love what this is kind of setting up for the book. And I also like seeing Aldrea's progression here, because in Hork-Bajir Chronicles, we see her very much like go kill the Yeerks, mess them up at the beginning, and being like very pro-war. But like you can see how the ending of the book has affected her between there and here. You can see how like having a family and raising a child has made her reconsider that and yeah, and maybe care more about like building something new than just going out and destroying the Yeerks. Um, it reminds me of Jake in Avatar, who at the end of the first movie is all like, "Yeah, I have to learn the lesson that some things are worth fighting and dying for, and we got to defend whatever." But then in the second movie, he's got a family now. He's got kids, and as much as he's willing to die for it, he can't risk his family and his kids. I don't know. I think that a lot of that is really good. And every time Toby and Aldrea actually interact in this book, I love it. I think it's wonderful.
I'm surprised there wasn't more of them interacting, and I wish there was more of it. Because it's like, this is your ancestor, or shouldn't you be talking to them the entire time?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of, clearly James Cameron it's obvious now he just ripped off these books. I mean, Aldrea, we find out Aldrea is a self-hating Andalite here, and that's, again, it's Jake Sully's journey from like, I'm a Na'vi now, I'm not a human anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Same exact thing. Or, it's like that other fucking Kevin Costner movie, am I right?
Which one?
Waterworld? Okay.
I didn't see
No,
that.
Dances with Wolves was the.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
I was like, we could also compare this to like real life instead of just other fiction if we wanted to.
Nah, fuck
I
that.
know Dance with Wolves is not real life, but at least it's like about actual humans and races.
No, no. I like Avatar.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. No, we get a bunch of good anti-Andalite sentiment here as well.
Do we get any Uncle Andalites?
Wait, isn't to
Yeah,
wait.
Tobias is an Uncle Andalite.
Right, yes. Axe is the uncle to Tobias. Yes, that's
no,
what
no,
it is.
Tobias is
Or
Axe's uncle.
no, because Axe is the brother of Elfangor, whose child is. So Axe is the uncle.
No, hold on. We've done this before. Hold on. Elfangor has
Oh
a
no.
son, and Axe is his brother. Okay, you're right. Axe is Tobias's uncle. That's right.
We've gotten so off track.
I think we go to the next part.
Yeah, it's too bad because listen, this is one of my favorite parts of the book is this section here. Like, this is where I think the book is actually doing well and paying off not because the Ixcila didn't make sense, but because when Aldrea is talking to Toby, I love the interactions. I love what they do thematically. I love what they set up. When Aldrea and Axe are sniping at each other, I love what it's showing about her character, the way that like she, as you said, is thinking of herself as a Hork-Bajir now. I love when Rachel takes a snipe at Axe and calls Andalites arrogant and humorless, and Aldrea loves it. It's good. I love all the existential shit that happens where she's wondering about what happened with Dak and me. I don't know. Like, apparently we went off and died. How did he die? Were we together? I have no idea. And she's like mourning this life that she never had. There's a lot of really good stuff here, I think, that is like cool and worth appreciating. And this is where I think the book is like really running well. And yeah, as you said, I would like more of it. We might not get that.
This is
All
maybe
right.
the biggest part of the book where they actually have time to explore these concepts without simultaneously dealing with a plot, or an action scene, or we got to go do this and do that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has more chance for actual character development and discussions.
Oh, and you know what we didn't even mention? I don't know if we need to talk about it, but it should be mentioned. They start alternating chapters where some of them are from Aldrea's point of view.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be mentioned for one reason.
What's that reason?
Who the fuck's typing this?
That's true.
It has been established by the use of the dots as the explicit reference to periods or commas on this page or whatnot, as we've explored in past episodes, that these books are literally being published in some form. Which means
maybe
at some point, Aldrea dictated these thoughts to Cassie so she
Yeah.
could write them down for the record.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe Aldrea mind dumps herself into Cassie's head.
The parts where she's going, I might stay in here. She told Cassie to write that.
Yeah. Well, once the story's over, she told her.
The
I don't
wall
know.
falls down and Cassie now has access to that. And so she kind of paraphrases it all.
Right. That's the last sentence of the book, is it says that.
I gotta assume that's the only thing that makes sense.
All right. So they're gonna go to the Hork-Bajir homeworld. So they board Quaffaginavin's stolen yurt craft, and they all leave. And by they all, I mean the Animorphs and Toby and Quaffaginavan. And once again, the Chi are going to be playing them while they're gone, because it's like a 3-day journey each direction through Z space, and then they got it. Whatever, they'll be gone for like a week. So almost immediately on the ship, Aldrea and Axe, they almost immediately start like fighting, and Jake has to like take control and step up and be the leader. A bunch of conflict scenes. There's a good scene where Aldrea has a nightmare, where she's like back with Dak raising Zero, and baby Zero's like, "Oh, mother, the Yerks will take me. You will not save me." So they're on this ship. Uh, what do you think about this ship?
Well, first I want to talk about the chi and the fact that Marco
Yeah.
asks a 5,000-year-old robot to help him seduce an underage teen girl.
I feel like this is the second time he's done this.
It could be.
Yeah, Holly Perry, who is transferred from Polk.
Which makes me, what makes me want to sing? Ooh, I look just like Holly Perry.
Mm.
Oh, and your coiffage in oven.
Oh, shit. Oh, man.
I don't care if they morph into you anyway.
Why didn't you make this for me before we started?
Anyway.
See, I was wondering if Holly Perry was like a Halle Berry type thing.
That's probably what it is. Yeah, it's not. There's no Katy Perry yet. I don't think.
No. Now Rachel's request is for the Chi not to be nice to her sisters.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also,
right.
I just want to say fuck Eric. I'm sick of Eric. I don't like him.
I'm looking at the part that I know you're looking at.
Yeah. Well, there's two.
Is it the fucking part where he's like, "Oh, I was FDR's White House butler, and I actually came up with the phrase the New Deal, but of course, it was during a poker game."
Yeah, no, I hated that.
That sucked.
But I also did not like when Marco asks him to do him this favor, and he goes, "Yeah, the Chi who plays you will also hold down his regular full-time job as a restaurant manager. But hey, your love life comes first." I don't like this snarky Eric. Let's just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Why are you being such a bitch? I don't want to hear that shit from you. Do what Marco fucking asks, okay? It's the least you could fucking do.
Yeah, Marco deserves every girl in school.
Yeah, he needs this, man. Be a bro. Be a fucking bro. Okay. Yeah. Christ.
You're right.
Anyway,
there is a thing with the Chi that, and this has happened. I don't remember what book this was, but it was very recent. I think it was book 32. There is a thing here with the Chi where, once again they do a little microcosm of the book's themes with the Chi, but because it's one sentence and not explored at all, it doesn't hit. Where Cassie, she thinks about asking Eric to have the Chi keep playing them after they die, and but she decides not to, and Eric is like, "Yeah, I agree," and he says, "People die, people grieve. It's better than playing games with it." And you can see how that maps onto this idea of Aldrea living this fake extra life, but they don't map it.
I did like that line.
Yeah, it's a good line. Listen, I think the book is well written for that.
Yeah, so. It is funny now that we've had a couple references to Chi playing them, but it's funny. Usually it's just that's a throwaway explanation just so nobody asks any questions while they're on a mission. But now they're just making it part of the explicit plot. That's just part of what's happening now, as opposed to, by the way, there's Chi at home. Just don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah. And I think I've said this before. I'm not opposed to that because what if you do want the Animorphs to go on a week-long mission? How do you explain that? Listen, I just want a week-long mission because it's fun, okay? Explaining it would take 10 chapters of bullshit, and I'd rather just say a Chi did it and do the plot. So I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those, you can only do it so many times before it's we have to explore this a little bit, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It could be worth exploring. You can also get to the point where you're why is every mission a week long now? The first time you did it, that was cool, but what if we had a local thing? I don't know.
And every other month, the parents are just I guess Cassie's on her period or something. She always fucking acts weird.
Marco cleaned it. Why is Rachel so nice?
Yeah.
Marco cleans his room.
I'm a feminist, by the way.
The problem is that we had a female listener write in, and so now you're going out of your way to act up.
I know. Literally. Well, no. It's the opposite. I'm self-conscious. Before I was like, oh, this is for the boys. I don't gotta worry about anything. It's for the boys. And now, literally every other sentence in my head, I'm just like, don't say cunt, don't say cunt, don't say cunt. And it's killing me.
Yeah, yeah. How dare you write in? Don't you see what you're doing to him?
It's fucked up. I'm in anguish over here. Yeah, there's more good Aldrea Cassie stuff here, We get I like the exchange with also Aldrea and Axe, where this is kind of the first time we really get an out in the open full on discussion of Ciro's kindness. Like from a person who was directly there. I mean, I guess we got I can't remember what in Andalite
yeah,
Chronicles.
so Alaran was there, but I don't think we've heard him talk about it outside of the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
Right.
Or
and
no,
like,
I think yeah.
We certainly didn't have someone who would defend Ciro, right?
No.
Like everyone in the galaxy pretty much agrees he's a dumbass.
Yeah, no, the only people we've ever heard defend Ciro are Aftran. Where Aftran was like, Ciro was the one good Andalite because he gave us tech.
Right.
So that doesn't, yeah.
So yeah, like that's an example, I think, of that's what you want from this book, is you get that opportunity to have these characters who should never have been able to speak. There should never have been an Aldrea meets Axe book. It doesn't make sense, but we have it, so you get to do this kind of stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I was just saying before, the best parts of this book are like Aldrea meets Axe, Aldrea meets Toby, and like they get to discuss and exchange.
Yeah, which is exactly what it's like. Yes, I just wanted more of that stuff.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, or there's a bit where all the Hork-Bajir are doing their free or dead slogan, and Aldrea like tears up and is like proud of her people. That sort of thing is really nice to see.
I wonder if K.A. Applegate or Michael Grant were any more involved with this book than normal, just because the Chronicles books, like, that's all them, and it feels like a more, I don't know, like nobody else ever wrote an Animorph, like a Chronicle, I mean, a Hork-Bajir Chronicle, that's just them, so I don't know, it feels more like their thing, but I don't know. It's probably the same.
Yeah, I mean, or it could be that's why you get so much rehashing, is because they were all like, yeah, do something piggybacking off of that. And Melinda Metz was like, oh shit, I got to read this book real quick to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to write. Oh my God, I have to summarize. What the fuck?
Copy paste.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
What were the trees called again? That description works. Copy paste.
Yeah. Big. Yeah, so I mean, because this is about the point where the rest of the book kind of forgets Toby is there. Like, there's a later on section where I have listed every single thing Toby does, and it's like 5 bullet points for the rest of the book. And when I say thing, I mean like looks out the window. Like you could easily. I would not be shocked if you told me that you forgot that Toby was here. If you were just like, yeah, they all got on the ship, and then, in chapter 25, I was like, wait, how did Toby get here? She wasn't on the ship. You could easily forget she was here.
And that's your favorite character.
I love Toby, I know.
In all of fiction.
In all of fiction, that's my favorite character.
You know who my favorite fictional character is? Jesus Christ.
I was gonna say it, but then I knew you would yell at me if I said it. So I was gonna I figured I'd let you.
I would have fucking crucified you.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to see art of. Sorry, I just want to see art of a Hork-Bajir crucified on the cross like Jesus. Okay, go on.
All right, I'll make that for you. I'll redraw my classic.
So I can jack off to it.
Drawing.
That was good.
And all right, so what the hell else?
We don't have time for this. Here's a question. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. So Aldrea can sleep and have a dream inside of Cassie's head.
Yeah,
she's like fully.
They're sharing a mind.
But like, is that can she be awake while Cassie's asleep?
I'm
Or
pretty sure she can. Yeah. I
weird.
don't
So
know.
this could be a full on Jekyll and Hyde thing. She could take
Yeah.
over during the night and live a
There's
whole life.
there's a part later on where Cassie's like, "I'm too exhausted to continue." Aldrea continue, and Aldrea's like, "Okay, now we're good."
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
it could easily be. Um,
wild.
Another bit that I really like here, I want to highlight is when Aldrea notices her feelings for Jake and compares her and Jake to Aldrea and Dak. And Cassie reflects, it's a disturbing comparison. Neither Dak nor Aldrea had survived their war, and Aldrea wishes them better luck than they had. I like that bit.
That's nice.
Good little bit.
Good little bit.
Yeah,
Good little bit.
good little bit.
GLB. Good little bit.
All right. So, unless you have anything else about this,
I don't know. They have to go to the bathroom together, which is gross.
yeah, there's Animorphs sometimes has those gross scenes. Is
Well,
that like,
honestly, it was I kind of liked that just because we've had Yerks in heads a lot, and they
Mhm.
always avoid talking about like the
Mm.
uncomfortable parts of what it would be like to live with another person in your brain.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's the first time they really talked about how fucking horrible that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of there are a lot of distinctions. It's funny because Cassie has had the experience of having a Yerk in her brain already, so she's like shared a brain before, but like this is very fundamentally different because she's actually sharing a brain and not just like in her head while
Right.
someone else has complete control.
For
Uh,
now.
for now. Uh, yeah. All right. So okay.
Okay.
They enter orbit around the Hork-Bajir world because they get there finally, and they're trying to get through the orbital defenses, and they are spotted by an Andalite fighter who fires on them. They like can't call him because they can't risk the Yerks picking up a voice transmission, and their shitty Yerk ship can't outmaneuver him, so they have to fight back. And Axe is all freaking out like, "Oh, we can't fire on an Andalite fighter. He's a noble, honorable pilot." And Jake is like, "Aldrea, do it." So Aldrea fires on, and she takes out his engines and cripples the ship. But then some Yerk fighters come in to finish him off, and they're like, "Oh, I guess we got to save this guy now." So they play like they're friendly, and then turn around and surprise attack the Yerks, and they and the Andalite ship manage to blow up the Yerk ships, and the Andalite gives them like a little barrel roll or something to recognize them as a friendly, and they head on from here. Um, I quite like this action scene. I think it's worth pointing out when the action is like actually fairly well constructed instead of just like a chaotic mess, like maybe we might get later.
Yeah, it's very Star Trek.
I feel
It's
that.
it's very we need more power to thrusters and the
Mhm.
kind of thing that I like in like OG Star Trek when the action scenes are often not it's not pew pew, it's like it's the actual
Yeah,
strategy of how do we this enemy is a cloaking device or whatever, we need to figure out how to manage our systems to make this attack function properly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Very logistical, very it feels more grounded than just and then we were a whirl of blades like the Tasmanian devil and you know. There's also
Like a
some good
Valik.
emotional stakes here because there's great tension between like Aldrea, Axe, and Jake. Because you've got Axe like begging them not to shoot this guy. You've got Jake really like goes into his like princely role here and is very much like take him out, Aldrea. Axe, shut up. It's my call. Blah blah blah. And you've got the distrust of Aldrea because it's not clear. There's a moment where it seems like Aldrea is just gonna fucking kill this guy instead of shooting out the engine. And Axe, like, private thought speaks to her and is like, "I will murder you if you do it. Don't you fucking dare." It's good. It's got good tension going on throughout.
Yeah, there's also some good tension between Marco and Cassie.
Oh, yes, you're right.
He falls on top of her and says, puts his finger to her lips and says, "Shh, don't tell Jake. You know how jealous he is."
Yeah. Marco gets some good ones in this book, I think.
Doesn't he always, though?
Yeah, I like him.
I have a question that you're probably not going to like
Uh-oh.
because it's a nitpicky,
Uh-oh.
annoying, probably not really a plot hole, but a plot hole question.
Sure.
This is where I kind of feel like these books have. This is the point of a series where maybe it's been going on for too long and the writers forgot actually like what was happening in the scheme of things because they're so honed in on the plot of the specific books at this point. I just needed some. Okay, so they go through Z space to get to the Hork-Bajir homeworld. How long did this take?
3 days.
3 days.
Yes.
I wasn't actually sure. Did they say that?
They do say that
Okay.
once.
Okay. There's Andalites there.
Yep.
Right? There's Andalites there.
Yep. You're right.
Okay. The whole thing from like book 1 or 2 was we need to, or maybe book 6, maybe it was when they met Axe where they talked about this, but we need to, or that's book 4. What? Fuck off. Just shut the fuck up. We need to wait for the Andalites to be able to come. And the reason they can't get to Earth to help us is because Z space isn't aligned properly and shit. But you can get to Hork-Bajir planet in 3 days and Andalites are there already. So, I mean, I guess you can say, oh, the Andalites, it's not their full military force or something, and for it to make a difference, we need them from here and that. But they don't, nobody even questions it. Like, someone should have been like, hey, maybe we bring some of them with us or something? Yeah. Or communicate to them? Communicate? There's no communications on these ships? You can't fucking send a message over there and say, hey, fucking, we got Elfangor's brother here? Help?
Yeah, I agree. It does feel like it's not thought out. Like it feels very, we wanted to have this scene for this story and we're not considering the wider implications in the story. And that I do think that is an actual issue. You can make it work. We know that the Hork-Bajir homeworld is very remote from the Andalite homeworld and it took them years to get to Hork-Bajir from Z-Space. So maybe, but then also Earth was remote to the Yeerk Empire, which launched out of the Hork-Bajir homeworld, but Z-space dimensions don't have to make any sense and they reconfigure, so maybe it's not always like this. And maybe it's, maybe a small outpost of Andalites here because one of the main Yeerk worlds only has a small outpost of Andalites and not a main fleet for some reason. Why did they send anyone if it wasn't? I don't know. I agree with you. That also does you brought up a good point, which is like, they go out of their way to be like, we can't communicate with him because that'll give away, that could give away to the Yeerks that we're here. But like, is it maybe worth giving away to the Yeerks that you're here and giving up on the Hork-Bajir homeworld in order to directly contact the Andalite fleet and just have open communication and bring them to Earth? Yeah, I'll admit this doesn't.
It's confusing.
This works fine if you don't think about it outside of book 34. But the problem is there's 33 other books.
Yeah, like no one even. And I almost don't even think about it reading it because they're like, yeah, there's Andalites here. It's fucking whatever. Nobody pauses at all.
Yeah, I do remember even as a kid, one of the issues that I had with this book was that a lot of it felt too rushed, but it also felt impossible not to rush. Like, we're going to get on a spaceship. We're going to travel through. We now have a spaceship that just goes through Z-space. We're going to go to a whole new planet. And we're just going to do that for one book. Right? Like, there's so much, this isn't like I snapped to Lyra and didn't know how I did it, so then snapped back. Like, you have, like, this can't just be like a one-shot, we'll just head off to the Hork-Bajir homeworld for the weekend in our ship that can fly anywhere. Like, what? You can go anywhere now. Why can't you go do all the stuff you've been wanting to do? It's a story that you basically can't tell this in one book.
Yeah.
But they do.
Yeah. Like I said, clearly they're like, this is the point where it seems like the writer's mindset is just, well, it's another Animorphs book where we need to, there's always one every month. So that's why the story keeps going, as opposed to the like actual logical. There's going to be an end point somewhere in this series.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, we'll probably talk about this at end of season, but I do think we're starting to get into that point of Animorphs where like you get a lot of fun stories here, but you start getting this sense of like, are
You're
these
spinning
fun
your
stories?
wheels,
Yeah, are these going anywhere? It feels like it's about time to go somewhere.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh
yeah,
well.
but I actually do think that's a good point. So, uh,
But what a lot of fun this scene is.
yeah, all right. So, um. Okay, so the Yerk they're going to the Hork-Bajir homeworld. They're accepted, their codes are accepted, and they move into land. They get in secretly and safely. So as they're descending, Aldrea's like shocked because all the trees she remembered are like blasted and destroyed, and she's like kind of despairing about it. It's very sad. They descend down through Father Deep, if we remember Father Deep, and we land in the old abandoned Arn City, if we remember the old Arn City.
If you don't, they'll tell you.
They sure will. They get there. There's this whole big like kerfuffle about how Aldrea doesn't remember stashing the weapons. Like she just knows where she thinks she would have put them, which was already established. But then they act like it wasn't established here, and everybody's now distrustful of her. So whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Well. Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about it. But yes, yeah, whatever. They make a whole big thing about it. But this is also where Aldrea, in her narration, says, like, for sure, she's not going to give up control. Because now that she sees that her world has been, like, fucked up and destroyed, like, she has to save it. And she starts fighting Cassie a little bit for control here, too. And so, like, the trust in Aldrea is really starting to break down at this point. Anyway, they all morph to Hork-Bajir except Tobias, who's running recon in the air, and they swing through the trees as Hork-Bajir, following Aldrea to where the stash, where she thinks it would be, where she used to have a base and a home with Dak. They arrive at her old valley to find that the whole thing has been razed to the ground and a Yerk pool was built in its place, and the base of the tree in which Aldrea would have hid the weapons is submerged in the pool. All right. So, okay. This is our scene, our big scene where the Animorphs get to see the Hork-Bajir homeworld and cavort through it, and we get to revisit the Hork-Bajir
We're here.
homeworld.
They're
here.
Here.
They are here.
They get to be here.
They sure do. Would you like to hear everything Toby does here?
Yeah.
All right. She looks out a window at it. She's fascinated. She gives one expository line about something the Arn did in the Chronicles. Aldrea says that Toby is already home, and when they talk about going home, and Toby looks at her. She has fun swinging through the trees. It says she's having fun. She doesn't have. She has that one line of dialogue, which is just exposition. And none of what I said is elaborated on beyond what I said. And this is really where I start having problems with the book. And this is a large part of why.
Pretty cool for Toby, though. She gets to have fun.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Like, what a big moment, and like cool and interesting moment where she returns to her ancestral homeland and she has to grapple with the idea. Because, like, Aldrea is insistent on the idea that this is her great-granddaughter's home and she needs to save it, but Toby has never seen it before and has, her emotional connection to it is this, like, ancestral storytelling thing and her respect for her great-grandmother, but she must also have a connection to the actual valley she grew up in on Earth, and you'd think there might be some tension there, and you think there could be some really interesting discussions and dialogue and exploration of, like, how does she feel about this, and how does this interact with her as a character and her feelings on Hork-Bajir freedom and the future of her species and her role as a leader? And how does Aldrea feel about that, and what if they talked about it? Yeah, you would think that. That's what I would think you might do here.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the ending that really covers a lot of that.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. Yeah. I'm glad we'll get to the ending that covers a lot of that.
Is this, shout out to our female listeners, is this the first usage of the word raped in Animorphs?
It sure is.
Yeah, they refer to the homeworld as having been raped.
And despoiled.
Honestly, pretty wild that they let them publish that.
Yeah, I feel you. I guess the 90s sure were a different time.
Somebody, like, they must have fought, like, someone, an editor must have said, maybe take that out, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe a male editor said it, and Melinda Metz and Kay Applegate both said, no, we're keeping it. And he was like, well, I can't really. What am I?
Yeah, by the way, men can be raped too, so shout out to our male listeners.
And
men can do the raping.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you just need to calm down a little bit here. You need to back off.
What? I'm being equal.
Right. No, I hear you.
Both men and women can rape and be raped.
Anyway.
That's just a fact. And guess what? Non-binary too. Goes both ways.
That's true.
Gender fluid.
Do you wanted to talk about this? It's worth talking about.
I guess now that I think about it, I don't really have much to say, but
okay.
It annoyed me. It just annoyed me.
It's very annoying that I agree. It is very annoying that at the very beginning, Aldrea says, I don't remember stashing the weapons because I did it after my Ixcila got made, but I know where I would have put them. And then they get here and she says, all right, so I don't actually know where they are. And they're all like, what? Why didn't you tell us? We should have known.
Yeah, there is no excuse for this. I mean, this is...
Yeah.
It's just inexcusable. It's insane that they could forget the beginning of their own book and no editor or anyone caught that. It's also, it's not just like a throwaway, like the mistrust of her is important and it's based on bullshit.
Yeah. And the thing is, the mistrust of her is important and it doesn't have to be based on bullshit. Like, you can already not trust her. Like, we've got, we've got Aldrea starting to feel like she's fighting Cassie for control at multiple points. In her narration, she's starting to feel like, oh, I think that I could, maybe I need to save this world. Maybe I won't give up Cassie. If you just made the whole, and the team is already kind of aware that she's potentially doing this, and Cassie's aware that she's potentially doing this, and they already don't trust her for that, but then they do this whole big other thing. You don't need it, and it's wrong.
It's so bizarre. Or why? Yeah. Like, why not just have her lie in the beginning and say she? Why? Like, did they literally just forget? Yeah. Like, which one was the mistake? I don't know.
And it also doesn't even really pay off because they make this. It's right. Just like Aldrea comes in here and she's like, I'm not sure where they could be, but I think I know. And then it's that's it, right? They don't have to go through her life to figure out where it might have been. They don't have to check multiple places. They don't discover that she was lying or that she was wrong. They just go to where she thinks it is and then it's there. So the whole plot thread, at the very beginning, she could have been all like, I know exactly where I stashed him. It happened before the Ixcila, and it would change nothing about the plot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know where they are. There they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found them.
Yeah. And the whole the whole tension with Aldrea not wanting to leave is, I think, so thematically relevant, and it's part of one of many themes that all tie nicely together, but then don't because the book drops them all. And wasting time on all this bullshit does make me unhappy because of that.
Now, what I did like around this time was what kind of is, I guess it's sort of obvious from the beginning, but it hits the character, and it hit me in a different way. It was Cassie's realization that she is choosing whether someone lives or dies, essentially. Yeah. That it's up to her to decide, to force Aldrea out of her head is essentially extinguishing a being's consciousness.
Yeah.
which is completely justifies why this is a Cassie book, because that's her worst nightmare.
Mhm.
That's perfect for her.
I sure wish it did justify that, and it would if Aldrea, if that was what happened in the end of the book, and we'll get to it.
Yeah,
But because I'll just spoil it right now. That ends up being irrelevant to Aldrea leaving or staying.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't, like, and there's so many cool things because Cassie has this experience with Aftran, right? And Cassie is wondering to herself, she's thinking, like, what if Aldrea chose me because she sensed that I was weak, right? Because I wouldn't kick her out, right? But like, what if we had more of that interaction between Cassie and Aldrea? We don't. Cassie has this experience of having someone in her head. She has this experience of having someone in her head who wants to control her, who is an enemy, and by using her empathy and compassion, finding common ground and like coming to terms in this beautiful way. What if we drew on that and had her interact with Aldrea in that way? But we kind of don't. That doesn't pay off. It doesn't happen. But like, what a cool idea that if it did.
Yeah. But what a cool idea if it did,
Yeah. Like I said, this is where I'm gonna start not liking this book anymore because of this.
Well, I'm ready to get into the shit.
Okay. I do want to mention one point that I really liked here, which was when Aldrea looked out over like the devastation in her home valley and saw the trees were gone. And she says, curse them, root and branch. Many of those trees were my friends, creatures I had known from nut and acorn. Many had voices of their own that are lost forever now. And there are wastes of stump and bramble where once there were singing groves. I have been idle. I have let things slip. It must stop. Just a nice little bit of prose I liked there.
Nice bit of prose.
All right.
Yeah. There's some cons, but there's also some pros.
Mm-hmm. All right. So they, okay. So let's get into this shit. They make this crazy plan to get into the tree base. Okay. I had to reread this a couple times just to make sure that I did in fact understand what happened.
Just do your best.
Yeah. Cassie turns into a bird. She carries them all as, like, bugs in her beak. She does a demorph mid-air to fall into the Yerk pool, but she keeps her wings long enough to slow her fall, even at human size, using her estrine powers. And everyone is shooting at her now, and Aftran is panicking and tries to take full control, but Cassie's, like, force of will just shuts her out completely. Cassie's too strong for her. Cassie morphs from bird to human to whale, like, so rapidly that she has bird parts and whale parts at the same time with, like, a transitional human thing, so none of the Yerks can tell that she is human. And this Aldrea recognizes that this is, like, never before seen talent. She times it perfectly, so she hits the water slow enough and at the right mass she doesn't explode. Whatever. She gets in the water. This is a crazy scene. It's weird. She gets in the water, she goes fully whale, and now that there's enough room in her mouth, the others demorph and go into battle morphs inside her mouth. And she lets Aldrea use her echolocation to find the right tree. Okay. Tobias and Axe go Andalite, Marco goes Hork-Bajir, Jake and Rachel go as sharks for water taxons. There's a big fight, right? Meanwhile, underwater, after doing this whole morphing thing, Cassie keeps morphing. She goes human and then Hork-Bajir again. And then at this point, she's too exhausted, like I said, so Aldrea has to take over. And they all, in this fight, they break into the chamber where Aldrea hid the weapons. They find them all stashed on a stolen Yerk ship. And we get this scene where Axe and Aldrea kind of reconcile, and they get in and they use the ship to blast their way out and deliver the weapons to Quaffaginovan. Okay.
Yeah. That's confusing. Shit. It's weird.
It's also, the third time that Cassie has done multiple morphs mid-air ending in whale?
Has she actually done? Oh, has she?
Maybe it's just the third time. She's okay. There are multiple times where she has had to morph whale in mid, like bird to whale mid-air, to like drop the Valik or drop on top of a bug fighter. And
That's weird.
Yeah, like they use this gimmick a lot.
But it is the first time, right, that she's done this like mid morph shit.
Yeah, I don't recall her ever doing this before.
Like the way I read it was that she kind of was like a person, but she had wings still, like an X-Man or something.
Yeah. She kept her wings into full personhood so that she could not fly but slowly fall. And they explicitly say like she has human and whale flesh while she still has her wings.
Like that's pretty cool. I'm
is.
guessing they don't do that ever again.
Yeah, it's fucking badass.
But yeah, like that should be that should play more significantly because it feels like this is her going Super Saiyan basically. Like this is the next stage of her powers.
That's true. Cassie should get a Super Saiyan form where she can use her powers. Yeah.
Yeah, like she can just fly around. She's a superhero now. She can just fly around with wings and shit and I don't know.
Yeah. Or you could do like a Toph from Last Airbender and just be like, so you know how nobody can combine multiple morphs? Well, Cassie figured it out. Nobody else can do it. Cassie figured it out.
Yeah.
She's the first one to do it, and now she's insane.
Yeah. Right? Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's a good idea. Here's a question. Now I'm going to be the nitpicky one. Did she need to do this? Like, could she not have just dived into the water as a bird and then gone human and whale underwater?
I don't know. They seem to say that she used the wings to glide down.
Right, but if she landed in the pool as a bird as opposed to demorphing midair and then falling.
Yeah, and that's the part where it just seems just confusingly written. So it's like, I don't really know what's happening. So I guess I just trust that they had to do that.
Yeah, listen, part of why I reread this multiple times was to see if I could catch why they had to do that. And I didn't. Maybe there's a reason. Write in and tell us.
I had to go back a couple times to be like, what the fuck is happening right now? I don't know.
Classic Animorphs.
Yeah, it's whatever. They have to do a bunch of crazy shit. Things are shooting at them. There's yerks. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot. It does feel like, it feels almost like the ghostwriter, like the editor gave up at the end, or the ghostwriter was running out of time or pages. Because there's a lot of, like, not only do you get that, and you get the part where you forgot earlier about Aldrea not knowing where the stuff is. There's also a bit here where literally, okay, so Aldrea says, they get to the ship, and Aldrea says, okay, code is Mother Loves Sirau. And then Axe says, how did you know the... but Axe says, how did you know the number for the code? and she says, oh, the number was a logarithm of Sirau's birthday. But literally one sentence ago, she said the code and it wasn't a number. And, that almost felt like you wrote that twice, right? Like you were like, the password's Mother Loves Sirau. I know because I always use that. The password's Sirau's birthday. I know because I always use that.
What's happening?
Pick one.
Because have you been saying Sirau this whole time?
I flip back and forth between Sirau and Sirau.
No, there's no Sirau. It's Sirau.
I do it. I'm not consistent about it.
I think you have been. I think you're gaslighting me right now. You're fucking with me.
I like to switch it up.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I didn't even. Yeah, you're right. No, I thought she was saying that like I don't even know. Maybe the code was like her hint. Like if you forgot your password, you can use the code to remember. Oh yeah, Zero. Mother loves him. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. It all happened so fast.
Yeah, I mean maybe I'm not getting it, but it does. There are a couple. It does kind of feel like maybe it wasn't. They didn't finish editing it. Like you said, yes. It's where you were like, there's no excuse for an editor not to have caught this. Maybe this book wasn't edited.
Yeah. They're just like, we don't have time. We got to go. We got to print it. Come on, today. The kids are waiting at the book fair right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for this character to make his appearance in in more books.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, there's also Axe seems to start respecting Aldrea in this scene, and I don't really know where that came from. It's just like all of a sudden I don't remember the exact part it happens. Oh yeah, he calls her she calls him brother Andalite, and she calls him sister, or sorry, he calls her sister Hork-Bajir. And I'm like, when did this? There was
Yeah.
never like a part where they made up. They just decided, book's over. They like each other.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, you kind of get this idea of like they have all this tension, but then you have the big climax scene. So now you, as the reader, are on this emotional high of like, yeah, they did it. So they're both. So now the characters are like, yeah, we did it, and now we love each other.
Yeah.
Because that's the point in the story where that happens. I
Which
agree with
might
you. This
work.
doesn't.
It
Yeah.
might work better in like a movie if this were like,
Hmm.
if we felt like, oh, we can see the physical, or even if the book was just better at describing them working together or something. But it's just, yeah, it seems to come out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see what's sort of happening, but I agree it's not really done. Um, Oh, there's also I do there's a nice little thing that I like here that I think is like a good callback where Aldrea has marked this tree with the Hork-Bajir symbol of love and a Andalite D and A. And it's a little callback to Cassie's heart with Cassie loves Jake. See, it all ties together.
Oh yeah,
Isn't that
wow.
cute?
That is, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice.
That might have been good if they talked about that more.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
if that was somehow like the way that Aldrea learned to get along with Cassie. Was she, I mean, she kind of says, reminds me of me and Dak, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it almost could. It's so close to could. All right.
Right.
Do you want to finish this book?
Yeah, after, also just the fact that there's more deaths weighing on Cassie's poor soul, but
Right, right. Yeah. There's yeah.
oh, they also use the word, maybe this is coming up. Uh Maybe this is in the next part, but they use the word, I don't even know how, I didn't look up how you pronounce it. It's like inchoate.
Oh,
I
I
think I
should
looked up what it means. Oh yeah, it means just begun, like not fully formed. Inchoate, I guess is how you say it.
That's
Inchoate.
probably right. This sounds like one of those words that I knew when I was a nerdier 14 to 16-year-old, but now that I'm 30 and have not used it because nobody would ever use this word, I have forgotten it.
It's just like I don't usually see words I don't recognize in Animorphs books, so I was thrown
Yeah.
aback a little bit by inchoate. I was like,
Well,
what the
Melinda
fuck?
Metz is cut from a different cloth, you see.
I guess
She's not like
so.
these other writers.
Yeah. Ooh, the word of the
Uh,
way is Sightgibber on
what?
on
Oh,
Merriam-Webster.com.
okay. Well, good. I'm glad.
Sightgibber.
So now, anybody can find the exact date we recorded this just by flipping through the words of the day.
Yeah.
Fun little homework assignment for the listeners. So,
I won't say what it means.
all right. So this book, yeah, we sometimes talk about how these books have like the smash ending where it just ends abruptly out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And this book is that times a million. All
Mhm.
right. So at the end here, Aldrea, she realizes that the reason that she took Cassie is, so remember when she tried to take control of Cassie and she couldn't. She realizes that the reason she took Cassie is because she knew she'd be tempted to stay even when it's not her place, and she needed someone who was strong enough to stop her. Because she still had that honor, and she realizes this isn't where she should be. It's time to move on and have a new era, whatever. It's time for them all to head back to Earth, but Toby now. We find out that Toby now thinks it's her duty to stay here and lead the new Hork-Bajir army. Toby doesn't say this. Aldrea and Axe are talking about her and say, yes, Toby thinks that it's her duty to stay here and do this. Aldrea wants her to do something other than war. She wants her to go back to the new colony and lead it and have it grow and, uh, and regrow the species. So they play a little trick on Toby, and Aldrea pretends to take control of Cassie, and Axe takes Toby hostage and is like, Aldrea, you better leave Cassie so Toby, or I'll kill Toby, and I'm gonna take her back to Earth just so to make sure you listen. And then Aldrea leaves, and they're like, Toby will figure out what we did eventually and why it was just a trick, and she won't hold it against us, and it's fine. And that's the end of the book. And first of all, this doesn't make sense. Because, like, after Aldrea's Ixcila leaves, they can just let Toby go. So, like, they only need to hold her hostage for a minute and not a 3-day journey back to Earth. And also, Toby should probably hate them all now. But I guess it's fine. And also, Aldrea could probably just talk to Toby about it. But then you would actually have to have developed any of Toby's ideas about her place in the world and what she wants to do. Like we were saying earlier, they should have done. So they can't have a discussion because they'd have to write it.
Yeah.
We don't really know why Toby decided that she needed to be the leader of the new Hork-Bajir army rather than stay at home.
Or if she did.
Or if she even really did. The Cassie choice isn't really explained either. Like, Cassie is, I guess, Aldrea knew Cassie was strong enough to kick her out, but I guess that means Cassie is mentally stronger than Rachel. Is that true? I guess that means Aldrea would have taken over Toby even though she's her granddaughter. Is that really true? Like, I don't know why you don't have something unique to her character, like I said earlier. Maybe Cassie uses something about her empathy and compassion to, like, reach out to Aldrea and connect with her. Maybe you connect the two ideas, since Aldrea was so warlike in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, but then she learned to love her family in Zero, and now maybe Toby needs to go through a similar journey where she wants to beat the Yeerks on the Hork-Bajir homeworld, but it's more important for her to grow the new colony. And maybe Aldrea wants to stay and fight for the world, but she realizes it's time to move on and build something new. And so Cassie and Aldrea connect over that. And then Aldrea uses that connection to connect with Toby. And the characters interact and talk about themes. And there's this overarching plot that coheres really nicely and is really profound and meaningful. Like, it's all set up. They set it all up. They don't do any of it. If they did it, this would be an S-tier book for me. They don't.
But other than that, good ending.
Yeah.
Other than that, pretty good.
Yeah.
I had to reread the ending a couple times because I literally did not understand what happened.
I don't really understand what happened, even though I know all of the, things that happened.
It does one of those things where they kind of don't explicitly spell it out because it's like they're trying to do a thing of like, oh, the characters came up with a plan and now you get to see it in action that they often do in these books.
Yes.
But when you're reading it, it just goes from, oh, Cassie, Aldrea, we like each other. Isn't this great? Blah, blah, blah. Now it's time to go to, I'm taking this kid hostage. Fuck you. No, fuck you. I was literally like, it was such whiplash. I was so jarred by this interaction. I did not understand what they were doing. I had to read it really slowly to be like, okay, they are trying to trick Toby, but why?
Okay, so I am looking at this book. Okay, the line, Jake, Cassie cried, Aldrea is struggling to seize control of me, which is where we first see the plan start to take action. Mm-hmm. And the end of the book is just about exactly 1 page.
That's fucking absurd.
It's insane.
And and also, why not just let her stay on Hork-Bajir homeworld? Like, what's the big deal? Who cares about this? Why do people
Yeah,
care if she's on Earth?
listen, Aldrea does say why she cares, and there's a good reason why she should care. But again, it's not explored, right? Like I think there's something very powerful in the idea that like if she goes to the Hork-Bajir homeworld, she is just fighting and killing. That is her purpose. That's her life. She's a small ragtag army fighting a losing battle that needs to be fought, and she's just replaying Dak and Aldrea, who did what needed to be done but lost. But Toby's not supposed to replay Dak and Aldrea. She's different. She's the rebirth of the Hork-Bajir people. And so to do that, she needs to be rebuilding on Earth where they've actually established a real colony and they're really growing and they could really become a people again rather than just, fighting guerrilla fights until they're killed on this hostile world. There's something powerful there, right? But, Aldrea says one sentence about it.
I gotta.
It so closely ties into everything else, but it just doesn't.
I gotta be honest. I don't buy it at all. Why? 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 At no point do they say, "Hey, Arn, why don't you take all the Hork-Bajir in the valley to the homeworld?" I don't know.
Because they'd be outnumbered. They'd all get killed there. They have a chance on Earth.
Well, then what does she want? But he's gonna make more of them. That's the whole thing. He's gonna make an army of Hork-Bajir.
Yeah, but then he'll die. Like he's not going to make a continuous army. He's going to make an army, and then they'll all go fight, and then he'll die. The army might not.
Yeah.
win.
Okay. You have 412 days to teach Toby how to do it.
Yeah,
and then keep
I
going.
guess.
I feel like from Toby's perspective, especially, but from anyone's perspective, I'd rather be free Hork-Bajir living on my homeworld fighting the good fight than what are they doing? They're stuck in a valley. They can't leave. They're doing Yerk raids, I guess, once in a while, but I don't know. It feels like a shitty existence compared to like the bigger picture.
I guess, but there's also something to be said for in Toby's mind, right? This is her ancestral home, sure, but Earth is her actual home, and like.
I don't know.
And if she's on the Hork-Bajir homeworld, the entire Hork-Bajir thing is once again, it's just a repeat of what happened before. They're soldiers bred by the Arn and used to go kill and die. Right, they aren't their Remember what Toby said in the beginning, where it's like, we have to earn our own freedom. We have to be our own people. Like, they are building their own valley. They are rescuing their own people. They are building their own society. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. What you're saying and what I'm saying is actually a really good argument that should be had by the characters in this book with each other.
Right.
Like, you're not, like, I don't even disagree with you. I think they should say this in the book.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I did just want to say that saying it's like her real home is Earth is kind of like saying it's like a slave's real home is the United States. And they shouldn't want to return to their homeland their ancestors came from or something.
No, it's kind of like saying a descendant of a slave's real home is Africa, which is racist. They were born here in the United States, and that's their home.
Yeah, but Toby was born like
here.
But 6 months ago. It's not ancestors. Like her relatives are still enslaved. It's not like this is generations ago. It's happening now.
Aren't. She's a first generation.
Yeah, but only by but still.
Her parents were born on Earth, or not on Earth, but not necessarily on Hork-Bajir. Her parents were not necessarily born on Hork-Bajir homeworld.
That
they
doesn't.
May
So
have
then, no,
they were.
home...
No, never mind. Ignore what I'm saying. Jarrah Hamid was born on Hork-Bajir homeworld. I think that was
okay. Sorry. I was gonna say then her real home was a Yerk ship somewhere.
Yeah, they were born into slavery, but
wherever you were born is your real home. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's not. It's less that and more like if you grew up and spent your whole life here, you're just going to be all like, yeah, but my ancestors long ago.
But she's confined to one valley, and it's different from like I live here and I'm part of the community.
She's not. She leaves the valley all the time, and there's a community in that valley.
She leaves.
This is
like
this
covertly.
is like me saying that Poland is my real home because I have Polish blood in me. I don't give a shit about Poland.
No. This is like Harry Potter saying, "Oh, my real home is being living under the stairs, and I don't want to go to Hogwarts." Okay, that's like it sucks living under the stairs. I don't think this valley is good. I think it sucks there.
Really? It feels like the Hork-Bajir are happy in this valley.
Because compared to being enslaved, but like you still have to hide from humanity. Like you're still being persecuted. You can't. The Yerks are looking for you, and you're like constantly under threat. You know.
Yeah, but in
Like,
the valley, they're totally safe. They're not like
for
they
now,
can leave the valley whenever they want. Yeah.
the Arn fucking found. Well, they can't. They can leave, and then the Yerks can find them.
Yeah, but
Like
then they can. But like the point is that they'll build out from this valley. The whole world could become this valley.
Have they done that? When are they going to do that?
When the war is won.
Hey, yeah, well, when's that going to fucking happen? How are they going to win
This
the
is
war?
why Toby needs to fight on Earth.
All right. Look, we don't have time. I gotta fucking go. We gotta end this episode.
Okay, listen, I'm just saying I actually think these are good points, but they're points that should be discussed in the
Great,
book.
we agree on that.
Then you wouldn't be asking these questions because characters would have asked these questions and it would be good.
I will just wrap up by saying I think almost every problem with this book could be solved by making it twice as long. It's just rushed. It's just there's not enough time to explore it, and I think I am a little maybe slightly cooler on it than you even up before the ending, because while I did like it, I think I had less to say about this book because so much of it to me just felt like, yeah, I read the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. This just felt like, well, we want the Animorphs to see it so that they actually can talk about it instead of just people who read that book. Now they'll know about it.
Yeah.
And the concepts in it are just too big to fit into just one. This should have been the Megamorphs, is what it should have been. Fuck that fucking time travel shit. It should have been, if you wanted to do this story, you should have done it justice or make it a two-parter or whatever. But it was too much for one book.
I'll agree that the book feels completely unfinished. If you made it longer, you could finish it, and that would be really nice. I do think that if you just trusted maybe not trusted your readers, maybe said to your readers, fuck you, you just won't understand it if you didn't read the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. As you said, a lot of it is a rehash. You could cut all of that, and then you could find room to actually finish it, because you didn't spend all that time doing that. I like it because although a lot of it is rehashing the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, there's also, like, I think Aldrea's character has changed from the ending of the Hork-Bajir Chronicles to this book in ways that make sense to me and are intuitive, and I like the extent to which they are explored, and I wish that was finished. At the beginning, when they're exploring it, it's great and I'm loving it, and then they just stop. I also do think that the book is well written in detail sense. Like the sentences are good for an Animorphs book. Like the writing issues are mostly the structural issues and the issue of the just copy paste from Hork-Bajir Chronicles. But you know what I mean? Like the way that the scenes that are in here are written, like if you just assume you have to write everything that happens in this book as it happens, how are you going to say that? I think it's said well.
As was that.
Did anything I say make sense here?
Yeah, it made sense. And I agree. Like, it's a weird book because while I was reading it, I was like, yeah, I like this is exciting. We're doing Hork-Bajir Chronicles. This is cool. But also at the same time, I'm now thinking back and it does again feel like we're talking about spinning wheels. It does just feel like we're kind of out of ideas. What could we do this month? Oh, remember we didn't Hork-Bajir. That was a book people liked. Why don't we kind of like go back there again? It doesn't feel like there's much new here. The new idea is the Aldrea's consciousness stuff. And that is just not focused on enough, I don't think. Like that's the crazy part, but they just kind of hand wave a lot of it. And maybe you should have just had Aldrea be like that happen on Earth somehow. Like maybe we shouldn't have gone to the planet. I don't know. It was just it felt too reach-ready to me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. like I said at the beginning, this book is so close to being an S tier, and then it just completely collapses out from under itself and becomes like, eh, to me.
We'll see where it lands in our
Yeah.
recap.
Well, I actually feel like we're probably pretty close on it, on the whole.
Probably.
Yeah.
There's not that much pop culture in this book.
Yeah. You want to go over it?
Okay, well, Cassie says that she's not Jewel or Brandy or Beck, though she doesn't have a last name like them. No Cher reference? Really? All right. For kids. Kids don't know Cher. Let me give you the Cliff's Notes version. That's a thing. Rachel is like Stone Cold Steve Austin crossed with Miss Teen USA. Rachel also says that's insane, as in Looney Teow, while she's turning into a cat. Now here's the highlight of the whole book.
Yeah, this is the one. We could do a whole episode on this one.
Then they're speculating why would the Arn come here. Marcos says, Star Wars The Phantom Menace isn't coming out on DVD there for like 2 years. He buys up a bunch of copies here, takes them home, makes a fortune. And then when someone says that's dumb, Marco says, don't be dissing TPM. Cool is cool.
Gotta hand it to Marco.
No one in history has ever referred to The Phantom Menace out loud as TPM.
Well, except for me. That's all I ever refer to it as.
Also, Star Wars Phantom Menace came out May 99. It wasn't out on DVD here either. It was 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's probably true.
DVDs were definitely at least 6 months to a year from release at that time.
So does this book then take place after its publication date?
Maybe that's a future book.
Yeah, could be.
This is also, I mean, DVDs were new at this time too, like really new.
Yeah.
Like I had Phantom Menace personally on VHS.
I think, oh yeah, I definitely did, yeah.
So I didn't get a DVD until like 2001 maybe. So that's they're on the cutting edge with that reference. I did also, I've got to say, have a bootleg cam recorded VHS of Phantom Menace that my parents bought for me in Times Square.
Hell yeah.
I wish I still had it. I don't think I do, but it was just a shitty cam.
That's great. Yeah, no, my TPM thing is my dad took me to see opening night, and there was like and I remember it because there was like a super big crowd, and people like when R2-D2 showed up on screen, everyone was like R2-D2, and they were cheering and screaming. It was great.
All right. Well, our Phantom Menace podcast will be later. So
yeah, it'll 2-hour episodes, 100 episodes, all Phantom Menace.
Continuing with the pop culture references from this book, the tornado is coming, Auntie M. We could probably sell the story rights to Lifetime for big bucks. This is so television for women. 2 strong, independent girls, 1 body. Paging Stephen King, R.L. Stine calling Stephen King with a message from Anne Rice.
All of these are Marco. You can tell because they're funny.
Yeah, they're also pretty stupid. All we need is a Ouija board. I think maybe it's time to call the capital E Exorcist. Not just any, the Exorcist. The mighty, the powerful, the ultimate yerk killer, Xena, warrior princess. I don't think Miss Manners covers this particular social situation.
Wait, is that something?
Yeah, Miss Manners was like an advice column.
Oh, I didn't know
that. Like an Ask Ashley or whatever.
Stands to reason I don't know about Miss Manners.
Yes, clearly you have never read it. How about the thing that you said earlier, Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal? Fuck all that fucking shit. Sure. So Yahtzee, anyone? Take that, George Lucas.
Yeah. That's it. Final parting question. This is Melinda Metz's second and last book. Do you think she gave up and was like, I'm not writing any more fucking books after this one?
Yeah, I framed it as like her getting fired, but I think it was the other way around. I think she got 2 outlines and she was like, this is the fucking shit you're giving me? I'm out.
Yeah. Well, the first one, she was all excited and she's like, yeah, give me another Cassie book. And then this one, she was like, I not even, listen, Halfway done. Here's the manuscript. Don't call me again.
I did my. They gave her. They're like, and then in chapter 2, she's like, "There's 23 bullet points in chapter 2. I don't understand." You'll make it work. I'm sure you'll make it work.
Yeah.
Oh well. Hey, if you got thoughts about and opinions about this book, you can email them to us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. Or if you want to mail us something, maybe we'll do that too, theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you want even more of our content, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys, which you pitched earlier. It's only $5 a month. You get extra bonus content, including mostly full-length episodes, and sometimes you even put out parody songs.
Yeah, this week we're talking about the original Star Trek. Few episodes. Yeah, it comes up a lot. One of Applegate's. I would say it is her biggest influence of all the books.
Almost certainly true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to hear our talk.
Yeah. Where might if they wanted to hear more of your lovely voice?
You can find my other stuff, jonathanestes.com. I got another podcast called Geeks on Trial. And yeah, check that all out there.
Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Book 35, The Proposal, in which Marco turns into a dog on the Yerky Boys.